Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Channel. You've got Murph, you've got Caleb Brashear, it's the Bass Brothers, and we are live from the newest track in iRacing. It's Naval Base Coronado, Caleb. The F-18s are here, the aircraft carriers here, and the bumps are here too, brother.
Yes, they are indeed. This is one of the bumpiest tracks I think I've ever driven here in iRacing, and that's in a big, bulky old stock car here in the O'Reilly car. This track is a bit rough here today, Murph.
Yeah, it's one that's rough, but it's not really meant for cars. It's more meant for those things. F-18s, you've got C2 Greyhound parked in the background. There's a V-22 Osprey, the tilt rotor airplane. You can see that parked trackside. Tell us about this track, Caleb, because it's got some history here.
Well, people think this is a brand new circuit, but they've actually had race events here in the past, mainly to do with the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association, the SVRA for short. They actually raced here back in the late 90s. They used not this current layout. They mainly used the actual runways themselves, out of the runways and taxiways, and the original layout was just a 9-turn, 1 3/4 mile circuit that used, it had a mixture of both asphalt and concrete, and it not only had the vintage events, the Global MX5 Cup also raced here. That was in 2012 and 2013, as well as Stadium Super Trucks the year afterwards in 2014. And they continued to do the vintage event from the late 90s, as we said, all the way up until 2016, 10 years ago, and until basically the event just kind of was not being as popular anymore, as well as the runways were just getting completely torn up due to all the racing that was going on in those sections, and they couldn't afford to repair it. So, but the track layout of that original version was actually set in a Chevron B39. That's your little fun fact of that old layout back in the final year that they hosted the vintage events with a 101.380 by Martin LeBur. So there's your little fun Formula Atlanta car, as you were going to say, but a little tidbit there of the old layout. But this is a completely new layout here.
It is. So the track is at the Naval Air Station on North Island. If you've heard that name before, that's because that's where Top Gun is located, Caleb. The track itself, 3.4 miles, 16 turns, as you mentioned. It is the third longest track in NASCAR history. You start by going across the Ellison start-finish line, named in honor of Commander Theodore Ellison, and then you get into a sweeping right-hander. You've got a slight incline followed by a downhill along the next straight, and then back-to-back 90-degree left turns. The Naval Facilities Engineering Systems Command and Andrew Mills Hall are located along that section, and that is some of the buildings you'll see. Then you take a right and go toward a straight in turn 5, which is located looking dead at an aircraft carrier. It's actually called Carrier Corners. CVN 71 is the aircraft carrier featured in the sim. After Carrier Corner, you get a heavy braking zone into a right-hander, and then the track goes into a narrow left. The backstretch has a set of corners called Coronado Chicane, which is really, they tried to mimic Sebring there. You've got the Southwest Regional Apprentice Program with the helicopter hangars located along there. That's followed by a series of S's and then a tight chicane toward Runway Road, which is along the northern tip of Runway 36. Cars go on the runway, and then the track gets kind of wider, and then there's a chicane. Then another left back toward the start-finish line, and that's a lap at the Coronado Street Course. They will have all 3 series here in 2026. So we're going to see all 3 right now. Ryan O'Donoghue is the fastest in practice. Surprise, surprise, Caleb. O'Donoghue fastest in practice. It's not a fast lap around here, though.
No, it's a very, very long lap, and to be honest, we don't even know if what O'Donoghue said, if that's even a comparable lap time around here. I imagine it is. It's at least close. but we really don't have a reference point of like what an actual lap time the Cup Series, O'Reilly, and trucks can do around here, because obviously, well, this is a brand new track, and iRacing worked with NASCAR in real life to get the scan into the sim before the real life event was underway. So this is kind of like the first taste of what we have of what this track is able to offer, not only in just in general, but in the stock cars as well.
We do. The rules for today are stages at 50 and 30 laps, 60 total laps for 204 miles. The drivers will have 3 new sets of tires in the box. And the answer to the question of which aircraft carrier is pictured, that is the USS Theodore Roosevelt CVN 71. It is the 4th of the Nimitz-class supercarriers. It is nuclear-powered and, of course, named after the 26th President of the United States. So that is the Teddy Roosevelt parked out there. Caleb? Bet you didn't know that.
I did not. I did not know really much of this place before about a week ago, so much less of the airplanes themselves there, Murph. But I figure that's always up your alley.
You know, it is. I've always had a deep love and appreciation for airplanes, naval aviators, especially. My father-in-law served on many of those ships. He's a retired naval chief, and so he's been aboard many of those. Although he spent most of his time on cruisers. His last ship was the USS Lady Gulf, but he would enjoy this. I think spent a lot of his time in Coronado, so he's actually from his whole family is actually from San Diego, the Hemet area. So he'd be pretty stoked if he didn't live in Indiana instead of San Diego right about now. Anyway, we are less than a minute to qualifying, and I guess the question really is, Caleb, how are the drivers going to deal not only with the bumps and some of the tight corners here, but just the newness of the circuit? We've got a pretty light field, 16 cars. What's the over/under prediction from Caleb Brashear on how many of these guys finish?
Well, it's probably going to be about half, I would say. This is not an easy track in the slightest. It's very, very difficult, even for like guys, even road course aces that have been, kind of practicing, just kind of getting a new feel of this track. Even a lot of the IndyCar guys just trying a stock car earlier out, like that bought this track, even said this is probably one of the most difficult circuits that iRacing has in their sim at the moment. So this is going to be it for guys that possibly don't do too many road courses. This is going to be a very, very difficult challenge for many of these guys, just to keep the car out of the wall here. I guarantee you everybody will tap the wall at least once and incur some sort of damage. It's just kind of how this track naturally goes with the flow. So it's gonna probably be whether or not if they hit wall, how much damage they're going to put in to their vehicles, and whether or not they're able to make it through the end on that.
It is. Let's ride on board with Troy Carricker as he begins his qualifying lap. We're going to pull the map up. That is turn 2, down Rogers Road to 3, facing the aircraft carrier. You can see Troy, he is taking it really, really easy. This is the right-hander, turn number 4, and then he'll head down toward Carrier Corner at turn number 5. This is Murray Avenue here, and you can see the massive undulations in this track. In this track, a lot of times you'll hear TV commentators, Caleb, they'll talk about how these are city streets and the crown and the road and all that. This seems a little bit more severe than most, like you see at Long Beach or Detroit, where they've kind of prepared the city streets as a racetrack. This doesn't look prepared at all.
No, it doesn't. And that's just kind of the nature of like sometimes when you go to a new street circuit, you just get these massive undulations. And to talk about the Arlington Grand Prix earlier, so you looked at that back straightaway and how bumpy that thing was, and that was a street circuit in its very first year. We've seen that before with street circuits. Kind of not really being prepared that much for a racing type surface, and that's what you're kind of seeing here in Coronado. Just kind of these massive bumps in the road, and that's really, really gonna, that's the main trickiest part. This track, if it was completely flat, wouldn't be that tricky. It's the bumps that are gonna catch a lot of drivers out, and it's not only like bumps, on the straightaways. It's bumps in the braking zones, bumps in the apex of the corners. It is it's basically just one massive just kind of undulation the entire way around this track.
Here's the chicane that I was alluding to. That's the other thing that's very difficult. A lot of the two chicanes that you see on the course, they're just barrels. There's not really much there. We'll get outside the car and let you look. Watch how Troy Carricker's car bounces up and down. You see the front? That's not wheel hop. You'd see that at the back. That's the front of the car bouncing up and down. There's almost a bit of a jump as he heads down toward turn 2, Caleb.
A little bit of a jump, and if you hit it just right, you can get all 4 cars off the ground. And even this section right here, it's a little jump there in the braking zone. You kind of want to brake on the crest of that second hill there. And then this section, you're going to cross actually what seem to be tracks here. So that's just another part to play. And weirdly enough, the tracks are the smoothest part, it seems like.
You know what? I would hate to be the guy that's in. I would hate to be the shock guy that had to figure out the shocks and the dampers for this track, because it is wild how bumpy this place is. A lot of people complain about Belle Isle or Sebring. This is 10 times worse than either one of those. Is see Troy Carricker wind his way, and the other part of that is this part of the course is very, very narrow, Caleb. It is only really 2 car widths wide in some places. It's wide in others, like here for example, but back in that 8, 9, 10, 11 section, you can really only fit 2 cars side by side through there, if that.
Yeah, and that's kind of really, there's a couple sections like this. We're actually going to come up on another section past the, what I like to call the pink section. It's actually a sponsor of a casino there. But this section right here, that left-handed apex, that is kind of, surprising how narrow that can get. And then the very next corner, it's a mile wide. So it's just completely different variants in terms of like how narrow and how wide these corners and some sections of this track can be. It's really kind of, difficult to sometimes judge at, especially if you get a long side-by-side battle going through these corners. And even then, this last corner here coming onto the start-finish straight gets very, very tight on exit. Troy Carricker getting a little bit loose on the start-finish line. He sets a lap time there, but again, this track is a completely different, it's basically if you took a lot of the same elements, a lot of the, bumpiness, a lot of the undulation that you see in a lot of other street circuits, you basically ramp that up to 10, and that's basically what you got here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the bumpiness of Sebring, the tightness of Long Beach, with some elements of St. Pete mixed in. It's very, very, very tricky, and Troy Carricker doing a pretty doggone good job. Kendall Paul goes to the top of the board, 2:16.745. Ryan O'Donoghue had his first lap disallowed. And these guys really, the other thing you got to think about, they don't really know what the marker is for time. You get 10 minutes in the session, you're going to burn up at the pace they're running. Caleb, you're going to burn up 7 minutes just making 3 laps. So there's not a lot of time to mess around here, so to speak.
No, there is, and it's a long track as we discussed before, just below 3.5 miles. The only other track in NASCAR that was longer at one point, to my knowledge, was Road America, another road course. And that one was basically just straightaway and hard braking zones, pretty much, at least for these guys. Here, it's, a lot of tight, narrow corners that really, the car's not really built for.
It's not. I mean, this would be something that you would think of as like for a sports car race, maybe, or an IndyCar race. The other track that you're missing, by the way, is the Augusta International Raceway, which had a 3-mile road course. So that would be the only other track similar in length that I can think of. Troy Carricker completes his second lap at 2 minutes 19.488. Only 5 cars have successfully completed a lap. Here's David Dunwoody out on the course in the No Pass Media admin box, red, white, and blue hued Chevrolet. And just look at how, that car, it almost drove straight up in the air, Caleb.
Yeah, this car is the suspension guys, if this was real life, and I imagine the suspension guys, when they get back to the shop on Monday, not going to be too pleased with possibly all the worn parts they're going to have to go through. It's basically, I guarantee you, for a lot of it, they're just going to look at it and say, yep, that's junk, for most of these guys, with how, violent this track is.
I'd be
to suspension here.
I'd be worried about it in a race. I'd be worried about things like broken motor mounts, and even frames getting broken with how violent some of these bumps are, Caleb.
That's another thing you gotta consider. We talk, even if the part gets through, well, what if it doesn't get through? That's always something you gotta keep in mind. You gotta keep it nice and tidy with these stock cars. Things can break, and these cars really don't like road courses at all. So when you go to a road course, a lot of the drivers like to attack it aggressively. They like to go over the curbs if it, if we go to a track like Watkins Glen, they like to attack that bus stop curb, and that completely destroys the suspension. It kind of makes everything junk over there. Imagine a track like this, where that's basically
the entire track
straightaway. Yeah, it's an entire track, every single turn, every single straightaway. You're basically just doing that over and over and over again, multiple times per lap. So I imagine this is going to be probably a very expensive bill in suspension and framework alone, just driving around this place.
Well, that's the great thing about the sim, Caleb. We don't have to worry about those bills. David Dunwoody becomes the 8th driver to set a time of the 16 to 17 cars that are signed up here. Only about half completed a valid lap, and so that's kind of an interesting distinction there as well. But we've got a starting grid, and we are going to go to that. With the with the Simshop Pole Award, it is Ryan O'Donohue. O'Donohue, 2 minutes 14.855, nearly 2 seconds in arrears. Kendall Paul, 2:16.745. Kendall will start from the outside of the front row. Sean Roberts and Sam Crow will make up row 2. And then it's Troy Carricker, Crash Neon in 5th and 6th. Joshua Zorn and David Dunwoody, they're on row 4. They were the last cars to set a valid time. Greg Evans will start 9th. Franco Alvarez will roll from 10th. Then 11th, it's going to be Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Ted Craven is 12th. Lee Campbell 13th. Brian Sharp 14th. John Houchins and Christopher Logan are the final 2 cars in this 16-car starting grid. It is a light field to be expected here, Caleb, again, because of the just because of the nature of the circuit, the fact that it is brand new. You always knew it was going to kind of be light. And we're getting ready to rock and roll and get out of here at Coronado. Do want to thank everybody for joining in, by the way. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. We're going to be right back here tomorrow night for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. So make sure you tune that one in. It's going to be to you at 8 o'clock Eastern, or 8:20 Eastern for the pre-race, 8:35 for the 8:35 for the race itself, and we're getting ready to roll now. Caleb, do they have the thing where you can check out an F-18 and give a smart bomb to your competitors? Is this kind of like Mario Kart over here a little bit, or is that not necessary?
I don't think it'll be necessary. I think most of, we won't need any added help to take competitors out with how violent this track can be and how narrow these walls are as well.
I don't doubt that at all. I do love, though, a lot of these cars, a lot of these drivers have put on some pretty patriotic artwork. Even Sean Roberts, who notably doesn't race with any logos or sponsorship on his machine, he's got the red, white, and blue numbers on the side of that Supra. So that's always awesome to see. Crash Neon got some patriotic livery on his Ghost Energy machine. A lot of red, white, and blue out there, Caleb.
A lot of red, white, and blue because, well, in a couple weeks, it's July 4th. In fact, 2 weeks' time, and I'll be celebrating that by watching some IndyCar racing at Mid-Ohio. So, obviously, it's the country's 250th anniversary, so a lot of drivers supporting the national colors as always. So, always good to see, some patriotic support for
It is. Now I gotta say there's something on that 14 that I kind of like, and that is Ryan O'Donoghue appears to have the gold hubcaps on their Freebird. I like it.
Uh-oh. He's taking your idea there, Murph, of the gold hubcaps on the car.
Yeah, see, you can kind of see them. There are quite a few guys that have painted the wheels. Kendall Paul looks like he's done same. I always like the painted wheels. Now I will say this: I am not a fan of having the side skirts be a different color than the car. As long as the side skirts have to match the car, Caleb. The gaudy wheels are okay, but don't mess up the paint. Don't make the side skirts a different color in the race car.
That's a 50-50 for me. I think it either has to be the same color or it has to be, just bare bone black, in my opinion, and just kind of show off of what that the side skirt actually is made of, just kind of letting it be. So either has to be the same design as the car or it has to be, bare bone black.
There you go. We are approaching the end of the parade lap. I promise it is a full pace lap here at Coronado. The caution laps here are probably going to be 3 or 4 minutes long, so it's going to take some time to get through the caution, to get through the stage cautions. There will be two, one at 15, one at 30. We do one more time. Thank everybody for joining in. Make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel, and we're getting ready to go racing here at Coronado. Your Simshop Pole Award winner is Ryan O'Donoghue. As we get ready to turn for home, the pace car is going to duck off. The other thing, and it's not going to really come into play, I don't think, here, because I don't anticipate we'll have green flag stops, Caleb. But the entry to pit lane is very awkward in that it almost wants to suck the car into pit lane when they come off of turn 16, doesn't it?
Yes, it does indeed. That tire barrier, or that tire bundle, kind of juts out a little bit. In my practice, I actually did hit it a couple of times, just kind of trying to take the best line through the last corner, and it's kind of juts out right at you. So these guys gotta be also aware, how far that thing sticks out.
Yeah, it does. Pace car has ducked away. Green flag is out. Ryan O'Donohue gets after the loud pedal, and we are racing here on the Naval Air Station at Coronado. Everybody safely across the start-finish line. Let's see if they make it through through the first set of turns, Caleb.
Well, so far, they all make it to turn 1. Ryan O'Donoghue shoots out to a big lead. Kendall Paul right behind him in hot pursuit. They go through turn number 2 through the bumpy portion. It looks like got a little bit of side-by-side action, but so far, everybody has made it through the first 2 sets of turns. We'll see what the rest of the field does as they kind of get a little bit more spread out here.
They do get a little bit more spread out. Ryan O'Donoghue reaches out to over a second advantage over Kendall Paul. Remember, his qualifying lap was 2 seconds quicker than Kendall Paul, and he started to flex that muscle already.
Sam Crow hard into the outside wall on that left-hander there.
Yes, he did, and that's going to drop him into the clutches of Troy Carricker, who is 5th. Carricker not able to make the move as they head through turns 8, 9, 10, and 11. It takes so long, and there's Sam Crow. He gets sideways again. Carricker not close enough to pounce. We did hear from Sean Roberts earlier. There is going to be a ton of tire wear here, Caleb.
Yes, it is indeed. And, that also has to do with, how abrasive, or not abrasive, but how bumpy it is. Obviously, the more bumps the track's got, well, it's going to wear out the tire a little bit more, just kind of being uneven with the car itself. And not only that, it's just a long lap. So while, most places you can get, at least on a road course, you get 30 laps at some road courses. And that basically equals about 15 laps here. So it's good. And that's just because of how long the actual track length or the actual, track is itself. So realistically, it's probably about the same amount of tire wear, maybe a little bit more with how bumpy it is. But it shouldn't be drastically different for the same amount of distance.
No, it shouldn't. And one of the challenges of a track like this, and you kind of mentioned it with the concrete, is the different surfaces. You've got some city streets, you've got some runway involved here. There's concrete, there's asphalt, there's different kinds of asphalt. All sorts of different surfaces, so it's kind of challenging here to even build a tire for this. As we look back in the pack, that is Lee Campbell battling with David Dunwoody. You've got Sahay Lewis Hayes and John Houchins back there. They're racing for 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th on the racetrack, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. They look kind of racy. Dunwoody, I think, might be a little bit quicker than Lee Campbell, but can't find a way around. And of course, he's fallen back a little bit. He was the final car to set a time in qualifying, so he started 8th. He may not have had 8th place speed, though, Caleb.
No, he may not have. So you could see Dunwoody getting a little bit closer. Or you could just see how big that bump is right after that overhanging bridge there. But you can see how, he's kind of gaining a little bit, gets really, really tight through what it kind of feels like a chicane here, is tight and narrow Red Bull section. They get really, really close to the wall on the outside. David Dunwoody's got a little bit of a run here. Campbell in front. Campbell goes a little bit wide, but keeps the momentum going.
Yes, he does. And something else, Dunwoody dirt tracking it through the final. Dirt tracking it there a little bit, Caleb. He doesn't spin the car out, but he is definitely going to fall away from Lee Campbell. As we've made it through 2 laps, and I guess the story here has to be, other than Sam Crow hitting the wall a little bit, we haven't really seen anybody. Tag it that hard here, Caleb.
No, we haven't. I think a lot of drivers are just playing it safe at the moment. You hit the wall hard, well, that's basically your pretty much going to be your day done, and that's the last thing these guys want to do here. This could be a big points haul for some of the drivers in this field, though. So they're thinking, let's get to the end of the race first, then try to get to as we get into that third stage and we start making those final pit stops, then we could start pushing the envelope a little bit harder here, but they still got, 2-stage cautions to get through.
We do. We were looking at Kendall Paul and Sean Roberts. Sean Roberts was challenging for the second spot. He has since backed out of that. Franco Alvarez has made his way past Troy Carricker, so move Alvarez to 5th, Carricker to 6th. Greg Evans is behind them. He's about 1.3 seconds back, so this is about to be a three-way fight. Evans faster than Carricker and a little bit faster than Alvarez. He's made his way into the 7th spot, so he is coming. A car that has dropped quite a bit from the opening. That would be Crash Neon. He started 6th. He's currently back to 9th, and he is about to find trouble from the car of Lee Campbell.
Yes, he is. I was watching that battle a little bit earlier. Lee Campbell drove away from the duo of Houchins and Dunway earlier, and now he seems to be a little bit on a charge. Crash Neon in the Gravedigger-inspired Ghost livery. I kind of really like that livery. Crash always giving some of the best liveries out here, but
he never runs the same one. He never runs the same one twice either. You have to give him that.
He never runs the same one twice, and they always look very, very good. But he's got a mirror all of Lee Campbell right now, and who is a bit on a charge right now. He started from the 13th spot, currently in 10th right now, and now is looking for 9th.
He is. Crash Neon doing a pretty decent job of holding off the charge. I think Lee Campbell might be a little bit faster, but Crash hanging on to that spot, and that's kind of a product of this circuit. It is long, and there are parts of it that are pretty wide, Caleb, but it does not appear to be an easy place to pass, does it?
No, it's a very, it's a long track, but it's got, it's not very quick. There's a lot of, slow 90-degree right-handers. A lot of that has been done due to the added chicanes that they had. You look at the original proposed layout of this, they've added quite a bit of tire bundles, and we're not only talking about, the last sections or the last section of the track right before the start-finish line with the double chicane there. We're also talking about a little bit, in the midfield as well as right before that double chicane. And in fact, all those tire barriers in the initial layout were not actually there. They wanted to just run straight through that, but they deemed it too dangerous, so they tried to slow the cars down a little bit to see if that could possibly work. In fact, when iRacing initially came out with this layout, the final double chicane right before that left-hand kink wasn't even there at all. So it just kind of goes to show that this track is kind of, evolving a little bit, and we'll see how it races in real life and whether or not this is going to be the layout they used for future references here.
Well, and that's the other thing. It's just kind of like the Chicago Street Course. When it came out in the sim, it had not yet been built. Lee Campbell looks to the inside of Crash Neon. He is going to make that move. So Lee Campbell goes into the 9th spot. We'll move Crash Neon back to 10th. Sean Roberts is all over Kendall Paul for the 2nd spot. Franco Alvarez has made his move past Sam Crow. There you see that in the background. But Sean Roberts making a bid for 2nd here, Caleb.
Yeah, I was watching him earlier. He had a big dive bomb. Oh, he's got to run here, but he sent a massive dive bomb going into what I'll call the Red Bull section, because I don't know the corner numbers by heart, but I'll call it the Red Bull section. He had a massive dive bomb, but Kendall was able to cut him back there. So Sean Roberts looking very, very racy earlier on. He's in the same place he started. He's going to look up the inside, going into the chicane. Able to keep it nice and tidy and move himself up into 2nd.
He does indeed. Sean Roberts moves into 2nd, and Kendall Paul is immediately going to start falling into the clutches of Franco Alvarez. We're gonna hop on board Franco Alvarez. We'll get the telemetry up for the fine folks at home. Do thank everybody for joining it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel. This is round number 18 on the season. We've only got, what, Caleb, 3, 4, 5, 6 races to go until we start the chase for the championship. This series is back next week, and it is at Sonoma. So a couple of road course races to close out the month of June. And then July the 2nd, we'll head to Chicagoland Speedway. That's always a great time. And then to round out a 5-week run, July the 9th, we'll do Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta before this series gets a night off, Caleb, or a week off on July 16th. Do also want to thank Outland Custom Arms for their support of the AMA. At Outland Custom Arms, their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. Something you can hear, Caleb, as we watch Franco Alvarez, you can hear the car hitting the ground.
Yeah, this is what we call the old Kevin Burrell special, to where if you ever listen to his streams, you could just hear the car just bouncing off the ground here. Well, even in a fixed setup, you could hear in these stock cars pretty well, and you could see right in front of Franco Kendall just absolutely underneath the braking zone, just bouncing that thing right as he turned in, and that's just we talked about that the entire night. Franco Alvarez had a look to the inside there, thinks better of it, but Kendall Paul gets a little bit wide going through the second part of that chicane there. We'll see if Franco's got a run going on to the start-finish line.
Yeah, that's just a rough area to try to make the pass, analogous to the bus stop at Daytona, the Le Mans chicane, same kind of a corner at Watkins Glen, the inner loop. It is very, very difficult to make a pass stick through there. Franco Alvarez thought better of it, but here he comes, and he has not given up on Kendall Paul. A little bit further back in the pack, Troy Carricker is under extreme duress from Lee Campbell, and Campbell will have made his way up to the 9th spot. He's involved in a battle for 8th, and they've got Joshua Zorn right in front of them. Zorn is running along in 7th, so a little 3-way battle going along in here. I'm keeping my eye on the timing and scoring for Franco Alvarez and Kendall Paul, but this is by far the best battle on the track, Caleb.
It is indeed the Kendall Paul Franco Alvarez battle. Getting very, very close, but this battle is, Lee Campbell has gained quite a bit of time over the likes of Dunwoody. Dunwoody actually dropping back all the way back into 14th at the moment. He's dropped off quite a bit.
Make that 15th and make that out of the race. David Dunwoody has retired the number 28th. He will be credited at the moment with 15th. Ted Craven is also on the pit lane and has been so for over 7 minutes. He is 3 laps down, but has not yet retired that number 1. And so he may want to come out, make 2 or 3 laps, and gain some points. But David Dunwoody has ejected from the session. It's you got to give this man his due. Ryan O'Donoghue is pulled out now to nearly a 10-second lead in the first 6 laps of the race as he reaches out and races away from the rest of this field. So there's O'Donoghue. He's got nobody around him. Probably the next thing that's going to happen for him is he is going to catch Brian Sharp. And when he does that, he will begin putting cars a lap down. He is nearly 14 seconds faster than Brian Sharp per lap. Sean Roberts and Franco Alvarez have gotten past Kendall Paul, and that's one where we might want to come back and look here. So there's Kendall, and Sean Roberts really isn't. Well, yeah, there he is. He's up there. Watch this move from Franco Alvarez, Caleb. Down
Yeah,
the end.
just a bit of late breaking action there, Murph.
It was down in that bus stop, and Kendall actually missed the corner and had to slam on the brakes and turn the car to the left just to avoid a tire barrel in a right hand corner, and that'll slow him down a little bit. Franco Alvarez gets about a second advantage over Kendall Paul. We'll head back to Lee Campbell, Troy Carricker, because that battle continues. Lee Campbell is going to push it up the outside here. Caleb, not quite clear. And Troy Carricker just about launched himself over a bump on a straightaway.
I heard an engine blow as well.
Yeah, that's Carricker. So trouble on the back straightaway. And Lee Campbell's got the hood up. He can't see where he's going. He needs to tow that machine. Watch this. Troy Carricker he's in the bumps, and I think he gets a shot from Lee Campbell there, and that's pretty much all she wrote. And then watch this. We're gonna get on board. We'll go back and watch the whole thing from the vantage point of Lee Campbell. Watch Troy Carricker. He's gonna get on the bumps over here, and that car's just gonna turn dead sideways, hook up, and go right. Lee Campbell does hit him, but it was long after the car was already gone. And now watch this. This is straight out of Days of Thunder, Caleb. Lee Campbell's driving along. He's like, it's not too bad. I'll get this thing fixed. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's so bumpy that there goes the hood.
The bumps caused the hood to come back up. This track is not being too kind to our drivers right now, isn't it?
It is not. Carricker and Campbell both with a meatball. That was a tremendously hard impact. It immediately blew the engine on the Carricker automobile, and then of course Campbell with a ton of damage. The secondary impacts of the wall, just trying to stay out of everybody's way, got him the meatball, and well, Ryan O'Donohue continues his Sunday drive, 12.1 seconds ahead of Sean Roberts. There really aren't any battles on the track to speak of. Now remember, we are going to have a stage break at lap 15, so this isn't going to just be a Ryan O'Donohue infomercial here. He is the leader, but everybody's gonna get a chance to catch back up to him here in about 7 laps. Sean Roberts runs along in second. Here's Sean in the number 33. There he is. Familiar Toyota Supra for Sean Roberts. He started this race, Caleb, in the 3rd spot, so he's made up 1 as he continues to matriculate around the airbase here in Coronado. Franco Alvarez is 3rd, the Mobile One Special. He's made up 7 spots, Caleb. He was one of those cars that did not get a valid qualifying lap, so he's driven that car up onto the podium. Kendall Paul is 4th after having started 2nd. So there's Kendall. Very patriotic paint scheme for him. Outland Custom Arms. Archway Industrial Coatings on that machine. Greg Evans is 5th. He's made up 4 spots from 9th. Again, a car that did not get a valid qualifying time, Caleb. But Greg Evans is, well, he's doing what he needs to do, right?
He is indeed. He had a very, very rough week at Pocono last weekend. He was leading the race, and just had an incident going through the tunnel turn, and his day was done like that, just in the first stage as well. So he's run solidly in 5th at the moment, started in 9th, and he really didn't get that much practice here. Before the race even started, he only got about he hits the wall hard there going through the first corner.
Yeah, and he's going to have to be careful. You can see the left front on the Deuce has been damaged. He hits the wall again just right there. He's got Sam Crow behind him in the 6th spot. There's Sam in the Black Acid Chevrolet. He runs along in 6th. He started 4th, so he's dropped a couple of spots. And we mentioned Sam had been in the wall pretty hard earlier. But there's Sam Crow in 6th. Joshua Zorn is 7th, some 12 seconds behind. Ted Craven, by the way, is back out on the course, and he can pick up. He was originally scored 16th when he was in the pits. He can pick up 3 more spots, so it's worth it to him to continue circulating. So Zorn runs along 7th. John Houchins is 8th. There's Houchins. He's up 7 spots. Crash Neon is 9th. We've talked about him quite a bit already. And Say Hey Lewis Hayes, a quiet day, but he hasn't hit anything, and he's continuing to circulate in 10th. Christopher Logan in the 70 is 11th. He is the next candidate to go a lap down. Brian Sharp has already gone a lap down, so he's going to be happy to see the yellow light come on, and he's hoping Christopher Logan does not get lapped because that would let him back on with the leaders. Carricker, Campbell, and Dunwoody are out, and the teddy bear, Ted Craven, is the last car running. I got to give my credit to Ted Craven. He jumped into the deep end with the Sharks, Caleb, at the P1600, and he made the distance. How about that?
Well, he did indeed, but I think we need to turn more focus to the second place battle on track here between Sean Roberts and Franco Alvarez. Franco, he's not only faster than Sean Roberts, he's faster than Ryan O'Donohue at the moment, but he's just getting held up by Sean Roberts just a little bit, so he's a little bit slower that time around. But Franco Alvarez starting in the 10th position, currently in 3rd on the charge forward. This is going to be I'm going to really look forward to what this restart has to offer at the end of the stage here. Gets a little bit loose on the entry of that corner there. Tries to sneak it up the inside, Sean Roberts. He is all over the rear bumper of that 33 machine.
It is, and here's the thing, and this is maybe a little bit of three-dimensional chess as opposed to just straight up car racing. But would you rather be 3rd on a restart or 2nd? And that's something that you might want to weigh. There are times where we have seen 3rd be the better spot, Caleb.
Well, I would say in every single oval situation, I would agree with you, Murph, but the green flag, and I guess that's just maybe where the green flag flies for this track, it flew very, very early on the straight, like almost before the last corner even when it came out. So if you're in that 3rd place position and you're on the outside for how narrow that corner is, well, if that car on the inside understeers us a little bit, well, you're going to be in that outside wall pretty hard. Well, what would be the outside wall? The right side wall. We'll call it the pit wall there. But I almost rather be 2nd because, well, you're at least side by side with the leader and you can go. 2nd row back is going to be very, very difficult with how early that green flag flies.
You know it is, but that's a great point. Does Franco Alvarez even want to pass Sean Roberts? Or maybe is he content to ride along behind Roberts and kind of size him up and see? Christopher Logan has got a black flag, and I believe that may be for connectivity issues because he's flashing on and off on the scoring pylon. Brian Sharp has lost a 2nd lap, and so he will not get back on the lead lap. He's also on the pit lane. And so that really leaves us with 11 runners as we get down toward the end of the first stage. You are watching the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series on P1. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you too can join in on all of the iRacing fun. It's a little bit lighter right now, Caleb. Area 51, the Horizon IndyCar Series, Formula Indy Series, they're all kind of on hiatus at the moment. A lot of those leagues take summer breaks. They will be coming back, of course. We've got the official top splits on Monday and Tuesday night. Of course, the AMA, although they don't race as frequently in the summer, they do have 2 races this week. Tonight, of course, the Grand National Cars. Tomorrow is the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. And do we have an iRacing IndyCar Series round this week, Caleb?
We do. We go to Road America this week.
You know, I might have to run that just because Road America is one of the only road courses that I can actually be safe on.
Highly doubt that, but we'll take your word for it. I won't take your word for it. I've seen you on a road course, Murph.
Yeah, it's a stretch, but I might be able to keep it out of the gravel. That race is at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard on Saturday, of course, presented by our good friends at 40 Racewear. And that's kind of really it for right now. It's just AMA and officials while everybody else cools their stuff off for the summer. We're gonna have a charity race for the Area 51 series on June the 30th in honor of one of their founding members, Jim Brooks, and that's going to be DW12s at Pocono. You should run that, Caleb. It's going to be a good time. Again, DW12s at Pocono. It's the old bumpy Pocono too. Ton of fun. Franco Alvarez continues to try Sean Roberts. He got awfully close to throwing it up the inside at the first bit of that bus stop, but he thought better of it. Sean Roberts hard on the wall, and Franco Alvarez follows him.
He does indeed, but Franco Alvarez able to take advantage of it. So far, the handling, he gets a little bit squirrely coming off turn number 1, but so far it doesn't look like Franco got that much damage from tapping the wall. But Sean Roberts, you can visually see a lot of right front damage there.
Yes, you can. He's got the same thing going that Greg Evans has, where for Evans it's the left front. For Sean Roberts, it's the right front. We're gonna ride on board with him and watch this hit upcoming here as he goes through turn 16. This is a lot like Sunset at Sebring. He gets up on the inside. There's a bump over there, and he doesn't hit the inside wall, but it acted almost like it did Caleb. It shot him across the track, and he pounded the wall with a right front, and you can visibly see the damage for Sean Roberts.
Yes, you can indeed, and he doesn't seem to actually. He's still in the back bumper, about a car length back of Franco Alvarez. So it seems like he hasn't, gotten too much damage there. One thing, with the road course is, well, the caution laps here take forever under stage caution. So he will possibly could get it done in just one lap. He gets very, very close there to Franco Alvarez. Loses a little bit of time going through the pink section as we'll come into the next chicane here. But he hasn't seemed to lose that much pace to the back of that 41 machine.
No, he doesn't, and that's the thing with a track like this. Aerodynamics are not that big of a deal. So if you hit something, it's not like it's if you crinkle a fender or bend something on the front of that car, it's not the huge penalty that it would be at a big oval. Right, Caleb? I mean, it's just kind of, okay, it's damage, but it's also something where he's going to be able to come in and get that fixed, no problem. We're estimating the caution lap here is going to take about 4 minutes. So you can fix a ton of stuff on one of these cars in 4 minutes.
Yes, you could indeed. Right when you're saying that, Franco Alvarez did tap that wall there. Again, possibly got away with no damage there, but we'll have to see how long his pit stop takes. Do want to also point out we are on board with Sam Crow. He has had, last time around, he had 2 separate spins, and his car is on the struggle bus a little bit here, Murph.
Yeah, you can see the right front on that machine is towed completely out. It is not facing the right way, and Sam, I think, is just trying to limp this thing around and hope that he doesn't, that he can make it until the caution flies, so that he can come in and effect repair without losing a lap. I don't know that that's going to happen. His last lap was 16 seconds adrift, and he's going to have to do this for 3 more laps. Now, no, there he is. He's going to come in and fix it. He can't do it any longer. Franco Alvarez, meanwhile, still all over the back of Sean Roberts for that second spot, and this is really the best battle on the track. And with Crow pulling in, that means we've got 9 runners left because eight. Well, there's still 10 runners. Ted Craven is still out there. But Sam Crow needs to make sure he doesn't go more than 1 lap down.
Yeah, that's the most important part. And thankfully, with how long the laps here are, and it's going to be about 2 minute 30, he could probably get repaired in the box. So if he's able to, he could get a majority of that, but I guess it depends on how long those required repairs are and if he's able to stay on the lead lap, or not at least stay at least 1 lap down to get his lap back under the stage caution.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to want to make sure he doesn't go any more than 1 down. He's still in the pit lane, been in the box now for 40 seconds. So we'll keep an eye on the Sam Crow situation. We're keeping an eye on this battle for the second spot between Roberts and Alvarez. It's also worth noting, Say Lewis Hayes having himself a heck of a day. Lewis has pulled up to Crash Neon here for the 8th spot. So Say Lewis Hayes doing a nice job in the Robert Turnbull special. There he is. And he's, Say Hey Lewis Hayes is just kind of going along.
He is indeed going along here. Kind of had, as you said, a kind of a quiet day, but just kind of making sure his car's nice and clean here. Doesn't seem to have, well, commentator's curse, doesn't seem to have any bumps on or scratches on that vehicle. As I say, he gets a little bit close to that wall there on the left there, going through that double chicane. You can see that car get very, very bouncy on that last left-hander. He's dropped a little bit of time to the Crash Neon in front. There you can see Sam Crow. He comes out of pit lane. He's able... I don't believe he stayed on the lead lap. No, he has not. So he is going to go 1 lap down. However, only 1 lap, so he will be able to get that back under stage caution. But it does seem that Lewis Hayes dropping a little bit of time to Crash Neon, and Crash Neon is pulling away.
He is. Meanwhile, Franco Alvarez has dropped 3 seconds off the rear of the Sean Roberts machine, and there's Franco Alvarez. He had been relentlessly trying to get past Sean Roberts, but I think he now realizes discretion may be the better part of valor here. He's going to back off. I don't see any damage on that Chevrolet. Meanwhile, back up the front, Ryan O'Donohue is, well, Caleb, he's having a cruise. Sean Roberts the last time through was 4/10 quicker, but Roberts is operating under an 18.5 second deficit as we begin the last lap of the stage.
He is indeed. I guess it always comes down to how these guys are able to save tires. And well, if you pull out an 18-second gap, it's kind of hard to close, even if you've been saving tires, to close that down.
Something I didn't think of with the rules here, but this is going to play out, is the stage caution doesn't fly until the 10th place car crosses the start finish line. Ryan O'Donohue on the coming to stage laps. This is going to be interesting because 10th place is Sam Crow. He's a lap down. So, is it going to make Ryan O'Donohue run an extra lap or even 2 here in order to complete the stage, Caleb, or is it going to do it when Crow crosses the line after O'Donohue?
No, we haven't been in this predicament.
We far in the season. We haven't. It's kind of a unique situation. Normally, you wouldn't think about okay, the 10th place car being a lap down under a normal circumstance, but when you've got a small field and when you've got a tight track and it's a street course and guys aren't familiar with it, there's the potential that something funny could happen. So I'm going to be interested in seeing, is Ryan O'Donohue going to have to run 16 laps in this first stage instead of 15? And he might actually have to run 17 to get to the stage yellow, which is going to shorten that second stage. even that much. I'm also interested to kind of understand, are these drivers going to have to pit in that third stage, or are they going to be able to make it to 30 laps on a single tank of gas? We're going to find out. Ryan O'Donoghue through the bus stop. He is going to approach the start-finish line to begin lap 16, and I'm going to be interested to see when they throw the yellow, because Sam Crow is making his way toward Carrier Corner now. There that is. And the other thing is, for Ryan O'Donoghue, he is not all that far behind Sam Crow.
No, he isn't, and I guess we're just gonna have to wait for Sam Crow to come across the start finish line. I imagine it's gonna be this time by is when they're gonna throw it, but if Sam Crow has to do another lap in order for the stage caution, well, that's going to make at least the second stage a little bit shorter in distance, maybe a little bit more exciting there. Well, because not only that, you got Sean Roberts, who seems to be at the moment matching Ryan O'Donoghue in lap times, and Franco Alvarez, about 5 laps ago, was actually lapping quicker than both O'Donoghue and Roberts. So it should be an interesting restart if we can get a little bit shorter, but I think it's going to have to throw when Sam Crow crosses the line this time by.
We'll see. Meanwhile, Greg Evans has been caught by Joshua Zorn. Evans has slowed considerably due to the damage on the deuce. And Joshua Zorn, there's the yellow. So it took... Ryan O'Donoghue is going to get the yellow after 16 complete, not 15. As he comes back around, he will be the stage winner in Track Racer Stage Break number 1. If you go to trackracer.com and you put in the web address just as it is shown in the chat, 5% of your order will go to the AMA season-ending prize pool. That is trackracer.com. We certainly thank them for their support of Track Racer Stage Break number 1, and it's won by Ryan O'Donoghue.
We finally have another car that has caught Ryan O'Donoghue under pacing. Now, not only will this pace lag take forever, it'll take forever for everybody to finally catch the pace car under yellow. So it'll only be a little bit there. You see Franco Alvarez joining up right there. And it'll only be another 30 seconds before we get Kendall Paul. So it would be a decent time to look at some damage on his vehicles. Ryan O'Donoghue, well, his car looks pretty clean. Sean Roberts, he's got a little bit of right front damage. Franco Alvarez, same situation, a little bit of right front damage. Sides look pretty good. Kendall Paul is finally caught up to the pacing vehicle, as well as Greg Evans and Joshua Zorn. It seems like everybody's got a little bit of right front damage. I'm guessing they got that in the final corner right before start finish.
Yeah, Greg Evans has got it on both sides. Joshua Zorn has it right front and right rear. We're still waiting on John Houchins, Crash Neon, Say Hey Lewis Hayes, and Sam Crow to join the party. Do thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel. And Caleb, what Sean Roberts says he's got steering damage, which he's driving awfully fast for a guy with damage to the steering box. But I digress, Caleb.
Well, he did hit that wall in the final corner pretty hard when he was battling with Alvarez earlier in the stage. So maybe once he got used to the damage, possibly he was able to keep pace with it. So he is very quick. He's shown that very early on. So we'll see, if he's able to get that repaired, if he's able to get that pace back and possibly fight O'Donoghue for the win here.
As always, we shall see. Except for Ryan O'Donoghue, I think there's going to be a lot of cars sitting on pit lane getting repair. Sam Crow still has not caught the back of the field, and he's going to want to do that because he needs to catch up to the pace car so that he can get the wave around. Or, well, he's not going to be taking the wave around. There, he's finally got the back of the field. He's going to be getting the lucky dog, and then he needs to beat it around the track so that he can make a pit stop and get some more damage repaired, Caleb.
Yes, he will indeed. And he's still, everybody should be making the. There he comes. There he is.
Now, is the lucky dog car, the pits are open for him, correct?
I don't know if it's open on the first lap or not. We'll see here.
Everybody's going to come.
Sam Crow does stay out, and he is.
There it goes. Now they're going to let him go get his lucky dog. So he needs to hightail it around so that he can come back in because he needs to maximize the repair to that number 8, and then he needs to kind of hang out. He needs to kind of hang out until lap 30 so that he can make full use of these extended cautions. The caution lap for Ryan O'Donoghue, by the way, was 4 minutes and 41 seconds. So you've got some time here to play with. I would imagine Sam Crow should be able to get at least another couple of minutes done under this yellow as we see cars streaming off a pit lane. O'Donoghue, Alvarez, Houchins, Say Hey Lewis Hayes, Kendall Paul, Sean Roberts, Crash Neon, Joshua Zorn, and Greg Evans all on the pit lane for repair. Sam Crow taking the wave around. Craven, Logan, Sharp, Carricker, Campbell, and Dunwoody all out of the race at this point. Ted Craven has brought his car back to pit lane for further repair, and he's been there for about 4 minutes, Caleb. So Ted Craven, I mean, he's made up 5 spots, right? That's a guy that runs the whole season. He needs the points, and it may be an easy way to score a pretty good finish for that number 1 automobile. Again, have to be impressed with the teddy bear for that run he had at the P1 600 last weekend, Caleb. That was very, very well done. He jumped into the deep end in an open setup IndyCar race and made the distance. And if that doesn't tell you the talent level in the AMA, that race was nearly a 4,000 strength of field with over 30 cars that showed up. Caleb, that was a big deal.
It was indeed, and it wasn't just the common IndyCar guys. There was a couple Pro Series drivers that showed up into it as well. Obviously, you had the Powers, Rob Malechka, Oster, and those guys. And
Brendan
for Ted Craven, Lichtenberg, all those guys. that race in the Pro Series, whether it be this past year or in the first year, for Ted Craven to come out and get to the end of the race. Well, that's better than some pro drivers could say, for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing was, he displayed one of the most incredible bits of sportsmanship that you'll see. The teddy bear was going to go a lap down with about three or four laps to go, moved aside for the battle for the lead, pulled his car over onto the apron, and let the battle for the lead happen unobstructed. And he did not have to do that because he was actually racing for position at the time. So kudos to Ted for doing that. We've still got Roberts, Neon, and Greg Evans on the pit lane. They are approaching 3 minutes in the box, Caleb. And so yeah, it's nearly a 5 minute deal under caution here. There goes who is that? That would be
Crash
Crash
Neon.
Neon. He's pulling off of the pit lane. Sam Crow has just now gotten to his pit box, and he's now been there for 40 seconds. I would imagine he is not taking tires. Sam Crow is just fixing damage. But they've probably got another minute before they've got to hustle it on out of here, Caleb.
Probably about a minute or so. Sean Roberts has gotten the majority of that damage repaired, as well as Sam Crow, as long as he didn't hit a wall on his outlap when he initially came out. So both of those guys should have a good chunk of that damage repaired when the pace car eventually does come back around. And if they get the pace going again, they could possibly come back down and even get more damage repaired if they didn't get all of it. So
There are the six. We're going to call them unhurt cars. Ryan O'Donoghue had a normal pit stop. Franco Alvarez had a normal pit stop. John Houchins, say hey Lewis Hayes, they were just all normal in the box. Kendall Paul, 52 seconds in his pit box. Now these guys are on pit road. They need to go. Sam Crow is still sitting there. Now Sam's going to go, but is he going to make it out in time is the question. He should have if he's already gone. Kendall Paul, 52 seconds. Joshua Zorn, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Crash Neon, 3 minutes and a second. Sean Roberts, 4 minutes, 24 seconds. Sam Crow, we talked about, a minute 52. Greg Evans, the blue ribbon winner on repair, 4 minutes 34 seconds for Greg Evans. Ted Craven has rejoined the fray. He is 8 laps down in the 11th spot, and he was under repair for 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Brian Sharp is still in his car. He has not retired. He has the meatball. He has been under repair 25 minutes. And as long as this is, Caleb, he's getting into territory where he might be able to fix even the most severe damage.
I think I looked back on that incident. It might have been repairable indeed.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still showing the meatball. As long as the motor's not blown, he may be able to get that car back out. And for Brian Sharp, even if he goes out and makes a couple of laps, he's going to be able to make up one spot, which is Christopher Logan. So it may benefit him to sit there and, even if he's got to wait an hour to make that happen, he's still going to have a chance to get out and make a couple of laps and gain a spot. Exactly what Ted Craven is doing. Craven, is, why not? I mean, it's just 40 more laps to go. We've lost 5 cars already. What's to say that we're not going to lose another 1 or 2? And Ted Craven might be able to get himself a top 10 finish. So that's the story at the moment. The pace car continues to amble around. We do want to thank Outland Custom Arms for their support of the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. This is going to be a really short stage, Caleb, only 11 laps.
Well, 11 laps of a lap time that takes about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So it'll still take a while. But it is, about 4 laps shorter than the first one. So possibly we could see some of these drivers push the envelope just a little bit harder for the likes of like drivers like Franco Alvarez, who we know is a short run type of person. And we saw that in the first stage where he was really, really strong in the middle of stage number 1, but kind of fell off towards the end of it. He could possibly make a fight for the win in stage number 2 due to it just being 4 laps shorter.
One more time through the pink section. That's the Pala Casino that Caleb was referencing. That's a Indian casino just outside of San Diego. A fun place to spend some time, I might add, Caleb.
Haven't been there personally, but I'm sure I will take your word for it. Do want to mention Sam Crow and Greg Evans have both caught the rear of the field here. So I believe we now have everybody right before the pace car makes its way down pit road and we can get stage number 2 underway.
Yeah, they are working down toward the bus stop chicane area. And then we'll get the green flag. It's going to be an 11-lap stage. Ryan O'Donoghue will start from the pole position. Franco Alvarez is second. Row 2 is John Houchins and Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Kendall Paul, Joshua Zorn make up row 3. Sean Roberts, Greg Evans, row 4. Crash Neon and Sam Crow on row 5. Ted Craven will be the trailer. Pace car is off.
Green flag.
And they get the green flag right in the middle of turn 16. But there it is. Franco Alvarez will drop behind Ryan O'Donoghue, and away they pull. Already those two cars half a second ahead. Whoa! They both
very squirrely.
They both swerved coming over the brow of that crest. Both swerved right at the moment that the cars lift off, and I thought both of them were going to spin out, Caleb. Meanwhile, Sean Roberts side by side with Say Hey Lewis Hayes. That's a battle for the 5th spot, and Roberts would desperately like to get back to where he was. Lewis Hayes, John Houchins, and John Houchins kind of cycled toward the front just due to the fact they didn't have any damage. But there are cars like Zorn and Greg Evans behind them who are much faster, and Sean Roberts gets by Lewis Hayes. Here comes Joshua Zorn. Here comes Greg Evans. Sam Crow has dropped well back of this action. So too is Crash Neon. I think those cars may still have damage. At the front, though, Franco Alvarez all over Ryan O'Donoghue.
He has been hunting Ryan O'Donoghue the entirety of this opening lap. He's been looking basically up the inside every single corner, just hasn't been able to get a fender alongside. Meanwhile, right behind them for the 3rd place spot, John Hutchins had a bit of a look on Kendall Paul, but went really, really wide there. Now the battle is back up towards the front here. Franco Alvarez getting really close to the rear bumper. Ryan O'Donoghue, he is pushing that 41 to its limit right now. A little bit squirrely as he go through the exit of that left-hander through the Kubota chicane, as I'll call it, just because it's the sponsors on the wall there. Franco Alvarez, he is still all over the rear bumper of Ryan O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue gets a little bit wide through the bus stop chicane. Let's see if Franco is able to carry some speed here going on to the start-finish stretch. A little bit further behind, Kendall Paul, you could see in the distance, has dropped back quite considerably, as well as the rest of the pack there, starting with John Hutchins. But Franco Alvarez and Ryan O'Donoghue, given, some we really haven't seen at all, and that's a battle for the lead here.
There you go. Ryan O'Donoghue continues to lead it, but this is the most pressure that we have seen O'Donoghue under for this entire race. Kendall Paul now lurks in third, and he's established that position by about 3 seconds by about 2 seconds over Sean Roberts, who is 3 seconds ahead of Houchin, Zorn, Evans, and Hayes, and that group is having a heck of a fight, Caleb.
Yes, they are indeed. John Hutchins getting very, very close to that wall. Joshua Zorn, we really haven't talked much about him the entirety of tonight. He's kept his vehicle rather clean, we'll say. But he's looking on the back of that 72 machine, and both of them, John Hutchins gets a little bit wide. Does Zorn perform the cutback through this very narrow Rebels section? Doesn't have a look here. Thinks better of it, but right in the rear bumper of him, he's got Greg Evans, the deuce, right behind him. And, he looked like he was going to set it up the inside there. But Joshua Zorn carrying a very, very wide line. Greg Evans, very, very tight there. We'll see how they get through the pink section of the track here. But so far, they're fairly single file as they go through it.
Yeah, they are. Greg Evans, I don't know that car is all the way fixed, Caleb. He may just be trying to ride. I'm sure Sam Crow and Crash Neon are kind of doing the same thing, where they're just kind of trying to ride until the end of this short stage so they can get some more damage fixed. I'm guessing Greg Evans kind of maybe doing the same thing. The bodywork looks like it's fixed, but there could be some internal damage that we can't see, and there's still a little bit of a wrinkle on the right front of that Sim Magic Chevrolet, so it is possible. We're hoping Sean Roberts got his steering damage fixed, although he's not quite been as fast as he was earlier. Meanwhile, Franco Alvarez is taking the lead from Ryan O'Donoghue and pulled out to about a 1.2 second advantage. Kendall Paul has caught that group as well.
Yeah, I was looking back on that replay for Franco Alvarez. An absolute masterful send going through the left-hand portion of the pink section, of the casino pink section, I'll call it, and was able to get that move done. And now he's pulled away a little bit. We know him as kind of, a short-run specialist. We'll see with this stage only being 11 laps long if he's able to hold on to this lead. And we've seen him so many times, be very, very strong in the Grand National Series over the course of, the past, ever since Kansas. I think it was his first race there. He showed very, very strong running there, but just hasn't been able to capitalize on the opportunities given. He's been very, very close to winning many times before. He's gotten, I believe, a couple stage wins in there as well. He's shown a lot of incredible pace, but he's still yet to get his first Grand National win.
He is. Today may be the day for Franco Alvarez. He has put up, he's got about half a second lead over O'Donoghue, and I wonder if O'Donoghue may just be sitting there trying to go to school a little bit, although he does tap the wall just a little bit through the casino section. I'm kind of wondering if O'Donoghue's just content to run second here. Franco Alvarez does not run the full schedule. So, could it be that, he's just trying to, Ryan O'Donoghue's just saying, look, I need the points, right? All that matters is points. It's no use hurting the car. Let's just keep everything moving in the right direction, so to speak. And he's willing to let Franco Alvarez lead this thing.
It could be an incredible battle. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, just inside the top 5 as well, John Hutchins, Joshua Zorn also going at it, but also the battle for the lead. Oh, there's a couple battles going all up and down the track here, and Greg Evans hard into the wall.
Greg Evans, there he is. There he is. That deuce is hurt bad, and I think the motor might be blown inside the number 2. There it is. I don't think he's got power, Caleb.
No, he does not. That was a hard hit coming off turn number 1.
It was. We need to go back and see what happened to Greg Evans, and there it is. Classic street course deal. He hits the outside wall and just shoots him across, and that impact was severe to the inside wall for Greg Evans. Let's watch it from his vantage point. Here he is. There's the tap. It's actually 2 hits. First hit was the inside. There's the outside. It's going to shoot him back across, and watch the tack.
Instantly dead.
Yeah,
instantly to 0.
That is going to be the end of the day for Greg Evans as we head back to the battle for the lead. Ryan O'Donoghue looking out of his windshield at Franco Alvarez. It's anywhere from a quarter to a half a second, depending on what corner you're in. But Franco Alvarez is not going to be an easy man to pass here, Caleb.
No, while Greg Evans, we were watching that replay, I did go back to his battle for the front. Ryan O'Donoghue, he's been looking for the overtake, but Franco has been putting on a fierce defense. He's been defending the inside and just been able to just kind of park his car on the apex of the corners here and just be able to beat Ryan O'Donoghue on corner exit. So he's been able to put on a very, very good defense over the guy that's basically been dominating this entire race so far. Oh, you can see how close O'Donoghue got to that wall there. Same thing with Alvarez. Gets very, very bumpy as they go through the downhill into the first left-hander. And you can see how bumpy as we ride on board. Oh, right onto the braking zone. Just a double dipper there underneath the brakes. Looks like O'Donoghue might have a good run through this right-hand bit onto the tracks here. But still just a little bit too far back at the moment to try to think something in the carrier corner here.
It was. Oh. It was. I tried to go to the blimp because I thought maybe that was going to be a better view. But all it did was zoom out. You couldn't see anything. But Ryan O'Donoghue making a shot. He's going to try to go the long way around. Doesn't quite have the steam. But Ryan O'Donoghue is putting up a fight now with 6 laps to go in the stage. Around they come. O'Donoghue looking to the outside, and Alvarez driving a very defensive line, Caleb.
Yes, he is indeed. It's almost a mirror image of what happened last time around. O'Donoghue looked to the outside of Alvarez going into that Rebel corner there and wasn't able to make the move, and he's just kind of following Alvarez. It seems like Alvarez is stronger in about the second half of the track. Ryan O'Donoghue is stronger in the first half. So we'll see how this all comes together at the end of stage number 2. But Alvarez putting on a masterful defense. But although he goes a little bit wide on the entry, O'Donoghue's got a good run here as they go into what I'll call the Kubota chicane.
It will. Ryan O'Donoghue too far back. Is too far back to make the move through that chicane. Franco Alvarez moves aside, and here's the other part of this. We've been kind of following the story of Ted Craven. He had an early incident. He went 8 laps down. Before at the stage break, Greg Evans has retired. Of course, blown engine cannot be fixed. Ted Craven, if he continues to soldier along, will pass Greg Evans during the stage break and become the lucky dog. So he'll get one of his laps back, Caleb. Ted Craven, persistence pays. He'll get a top 10 finish out of this.
He will indeed. We talked about his persistence in the P1 600. He showed a really strong running there. But we also have, just incredible group of guys here in the AMA. A lot of these guys don't know how to quit. So, and Ted Craven's definitely one of those guys. He keeps going until, he physically can't go no more. Meanwhile, in the battle up front, Franco Alvarez putting on the same clinic he did the past couple laps, just able to defend into the Red Bull section, into this left-hander here, where O'Donoghue still just able to get a run here, but just not able to. He looks up the inside, though. I believe there was a little bit of contact, but Franco Alvarez goes wide, but able to keep the position there.
O'Donoghue is all over the back of Franco Alvarez. This is some incredible action. It's for the top spot. It also happens to be the only battle where the cars are in direct contact with one another. Crash Neon and John Houchins for 6th and 7th are pretty close, but they're separated by anywhere between half a second and a second. Ryan O'Donoghue and Franco Alvarez, though, they are all over one another, Caleb.
They are over one another, but I do want to give a shout out to that Zorn, Houchins, and Crash Neon battle. Those guys were really, really going at it last lap. It's kind of separated a little bit. Houchins was at the front of it. Zorn managed to pull a double overtake over both Crash Neon and Houchins to slot himself up into a top 5 position. But those guys were going at it about a lap ago. It's kind of spread out at the moment, but right now, it's kind of like what you said, Murph. The battle for the lead is really the kind of the only battle on track here. O'Donoghue taps the wall coming off turn number 1, but he's able to keep it going forward.
If Bridget's out there listening, please tell him to quit hitting the wall. That's not good. Ryan O'Donoghue in hot pursuit of Franco Alvarez, and if they're not touching going into some of these corners, Caleb, they are awfully, awfully close. O'Donoghue is pushing Alvarez pretty deep, and you got to wonder if that's the old press R1 to intimidate right there, because Ryan O'Donoghue is laying all over the rear bumper of Alvarez. And if you're Alvarez, do you think about letting a guy go when he's doing that, or do you figure, look, O'Donoghue's not going to do anything, to jeopardize his run, and just kind of understand that you're going to have to take it?
Well, at this point, the second O'Donoghue goes, they got a lap car in front. Ted Craven didn't do anything wrong there, but it's just a very unfortunate part of the track to catch him in.
Yeah, he did everything right. He stayed completely out of the way. O'Donoghue throws it up the inside, can't get it done, but that's a really wide part of the track. Let's see if he can cut the switchback. He will not. He will push Franco Alvarez through turn. Oh golly,
pink corner,
toward the casino chicane. How's that?
Pink casino chicane.
The pink chicane. I'm gonna have to take you there. We're gonna get Caleb on the big airplane. We're gonna take him to San Diego and take him to Pink Casino. How about that?
I like that idea here, Murph. But right now, we got something else to do here in San Diego, and that's watch Franco Alvarez put on a clinic of a masterful defense against Ryan O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue's been looking, not been able to capitalize, though, so we'll see if he's able to get that position back before the stage ends, but he's only got about 4 laps to do it.
Yeah, he does. And with the relentless amount of pressure that Ryan O'Donoghue's been applying, you would think eventually at some point he's going to succeed. I mean, he has been all over the back. We'll get in the P1 helicopter. He has been all over Franco Alvarez. This time he may have the position. He's going to go up the outside. Not quite enough. It's awfully hard to make that move in that spot, just because the exit of that corner very, very narrow, Caleb. You have no drive coming off. You're going to drive it straight in the tires.
Yes, you will indeed. But he's, he's separating himself just a little bit here. You can see in the cockpit camera just how bumpy this track is, and makes me wonder if he's been pushing that thing a little bit too hard. He's dropped it a little bit too far back. Sends it really, really deep.
He overshot. He overshot that corner by a good 75 to 100 feet, Caleb, and that's going to cost him even more time. At least for Ryan O'Donoghue, doesn't hit anything, but he needs to settle down a little bit here, and get himself back into a rhythm. He's clearly been faster than Franco Alvarez for several laps. He just needs to kind of take a step back and start doing what he was doing before, and he'll reel that in pretty quickly. Meanwhile, there has been a position change further back in the pack. Crash Neon has gone to the pit lane with the meatball, and that's going to be day done for him. He's blown the engine. Let's see what happens to Crash Neon. Locks the rear brakes, wheel hops hard into the wall, and that's going to be the end of the day for Crash Neon.
And a double hit there. I think he blew the engine actually on that second hit, not the first one.
That could be. We'll get back with Ryan O'Donoghue. So that means that there are now just 9 cars circulating. And Ted Craven could be on for a 9th place finish, Caleb. As we follow Ryan O'Donoghue, he has gradually started to reel Franco Alvarez back in.
He has indeed. You could see him you could see how confident he is in this first section here. It does seem like he is definitely stronger. Right on the rear bumper of Alvarez as they go through that left-hander, though. He's going to have to back off massively. He overshot his braking point just a little bit, but Franco Alvarez goes wide as they go over the tracks here. Again, Alvarez, just getting a little bit wide. O'Donoghue gets loose on exit, though. They go down the straightaway. Alvarez still has got about 2 to 3 car lengths over O'Donoghue behind. They go into the Red Bull chicane, as I'll call it.
We've got another victim. John Houchins has blown his engine. Neon retires. Houchins is on the pit lane with smoke billowing from that number 72 machine. And he just kind of lost it there, coming off of turn 14, hard into the inside wall, and there's the smoke. And Houchins is now out. Ted Craven, by persistence, has an 8th place on the table.
Well, it's going to be a solid top 10 if he's able to get those laps down. He's currently in pit lane, so I think he's just taking tires, though, or possibly get some damage repaired. Leaders are going to come up to lap him again if he stays a lap down. But right now, a lot of these cars are out, but we're still getting an incredible battle for lead. Franco Alvarez locks them up as they go into the chicane. Coming out of the chicane into the final corner of the lap here. He's still got about 2 or 3 car lengths, about only a car length as they go through that final corner. 2 laps to go in the stage, and we'll see if Franco Alvarez is able to hold on.
We will. We're going to leave the telemetry up for whatever car we're watching, just because there are only 8 cars really left. Ted Craven, I assume, is on pit lane just because he knows the score. He needs to make up 8 laps. He needs to run 9 laps out of the next 30 in order to pass Crash Neon, and so that's a developing story. But his car is damaged, and so he may be thinking, look, I'll lose a couple here. I'll use the caution to get as much repaired as possible, and then all I've got to do is run 10 more and pick up some more spots. And so Ted Craven on the pit lane, so 7 cars currently circulating. It'll be 8 once Ted Craven gets back out. Ryan O'Donoghue has one more time run down Franco Alvarez as we get on toward the end of stage number 2. And Caleb, he's been throwing it. He's been throwing it at Alvarez. At some point, do you think he's going to use the bumper, or is he going to be content just to apply the relentless pressure?
I think in this point of the stage, especially with it just being at the end of stage number 2, I don't think he'll apply the bumper here because, with it being a street circuit, you put the bumper on someone, that's basically going to be their day done, guaranteed. So if he wants to put the bumper on, he's got to do it at a point where Franco can't get back at him for it. So I think he's going to try to pass as clean as possible. If he wants to try to get to stage number 2.
There's a shot.
Why did I say that?
There's a shot. Franco Alvarez. We're gonna have to go back and look at that, because that was not. There's no way that was intentional, Caleb. It's almost like Franco Alvarez slowed down. Oh, there it is. Alvarez got in a wall a little bit, got his momentum slowed down. Ryan O'Donoghue, you saw the flames coming out of the pipes. He was trying to stay off of him and couldn't do it. There goes Alvarez backward through the bus stop. The good news for Alvarez is he's really only going to drop down to the third position. Sean Roberts has gone to second. Alvarez is now third. Kendall Paul is fourth. And Ryan O'Donoghue has now assumed the lead all to his lonesome. Do thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel. We are nearing the end of Blackmagic Studios stage break number 2. Blackmagic Studios is a small operation dedicated to high-quality iRacing paints and wraps for any car. You can visit them on Discord or Facebook for your next high-quality iRacing paint. I can personally vouch for the quality of those paints when you see me on the track. It is behind the wheel of a Blackmagic Studios designed IR18. Although he done what he was not responsible for the gold hubcaps. I did that myself.
You had to take credit for at least a little bit of it, right, Murph?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to prove my worth somehow. I haven't won anything in a while, so I need to at least contribute somehow to the operation, right? Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. Got to give credit to the Dark Horse organization. Wound up walking away with a trophy over there a couple of Sundays ago. I tried to throw it away, Caleb, but couldn't do it.
Yeah, you got a unfortunate speedy penalty, or maybe it was all intentional just to spice things up. Or
we actually there's actually a way you can report those things to iRacing. And thankfully it didn't have any impact on the results, but I know this is an open wheel heavy channel. If you're running a DW12 or the IR18, you want to make sure that you're watching the limit on pit road, because the limiter in certain circumstances is allowing people to go over 2 to 3 miles an hour before it engages, and that's a speeding ticket every time, Caleb. And so you want to make sure that you keep an eye on that. There is an open ticket with iRacing. Ted Craven made a lap and is back on pit road, so he now needs to make 8 full circuits to pass Crash Neon, but he is back on pit road and under further repair. Ryan O'Donoghue is going to cruise home here, and just like the last stage, he's going to have to make an extra lap almost. Well, this is even better. We don't have 10 cars running, Caleb. So now what do we do for this stage?
I believe last time, I think it was Lewis Hayes, was in 9th, and when he came across, he was the last car on the lead lap, and when he came across the line, that's when it threw. So I believe when Lewis Hayes, this time in 7th, comes across the line, that's when it will fly. So
We'll have to keep an eye on that. That we've had some questions answered, but Ryan O'Donohue did have to go an extra lap in the last stage. Ryan O'Donohue currently leading this race by 5.7 seconds, and there it is.
Caution is out.
But he's not going to pick up the caution car. He's not going to pick up the caution car until he's completed 31 laps. I do want to thank Crash Neon for the super chat. Didn't have to do that, buddy, but we thank you all the same. Said he had a Charlie horse. That's painful, Caleb.
No, yeah, it is.
That is not fun, especially. And I don't know how Crash sits, but and I don't know how you sit either. But I sit in the formula position, right, laid down. I can't imagine trying to press my right foot upward with a Charlie horse. That would have to just hurt.
I imagine so there, Murph.
So they are now behind the pace car. The situation is this: O'Donohue, Roberts, Alvarez, Kendall Paul, Joshua Zorn, Sam Crow, and Say Hey Lewis Hayes are your runners. Crash Neon, John Houchins, Greg Evans out of the race. Ted Craven is still circulating and making laps, although he is in 11th. He is still active. Christopher Logan in 12th. Brian Sharp 13th, Troy Carricker 14th, Lee Campbell 15th, and David Dunwoody 16th, all out of the event. And for Ted Craven, again, if he can make 8 laps in this final stage, he will move up to the 8th spot. So that's a big deal when you're running in a championship, Caleb, because Ted Craven right now he's 51 points out of the chase, and this could go a long way toward putting him back in that top 12 if he's able to collect those extra 4 or 5 spots.
Yes, it would indeed, and we know he's gonna run every single race, and it just at least here in the AMA, we don't count, there are drop weeks. You have to hit a minimum of 16 races out of the 24 leading up to the chase. So he's going to run every single one, and it's basically just kind of maximizing, every single weekend as you can. If you're going to have a weekend, well, you got, another 8 shots to kind of improve upon that. So this is going to be a big points haul for him in the championship. Basically finishing, as long as he keeps it going, guaranteed at least a top 10 finish. He only has to go another 3 laps to get Greg Evans for that. So, very strong result if he keeps going here.
He does, and look, Crash Neon's likely going to wind up 9th. That's going to be a good day for him. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is still out there. He is 7th. And so, Lewis in the Robert Turnbull special, he needs to score. Franco Alvarez is 3rd. He has not run the requisite number of races as yet to qualify for the chase. And so we'll see if that happens for him, or even if he chooses to contest it. James Hodgson not here. David Dunwoody showed up. He's going to be credited with 16th, but that's going to help him out. Because Hodgson is not here. Greg Evans, your points leader, is out of the race, but it's not going to hurt him that badly. He still is most likely going to be classified as 11th, and that's not a bad day, Caleb. I mean, it's, he's going to lose a little bit, but when you've got a 178-point lead, it's not the biggest of worst deals to have that happen. If you're going to have a bad day, this isn't the type of race with a short field. If you're going to have a bad day, have your bad day here, right?
Exactly. You may as well have it. Where you could still get a decent result if everything just goes wrong. So, Greg Evans. He's going to wind up probably at the end of this 11th, and He had a really rough result last weekend in Pocono. We talked about that just a little bit. And now he's going to, finish outside the top 10 once again. But even then, finishing 11th, despite being, DNF'd at what would be 38 laps down by the time this is all said and done, is not, it could have been much worse when, you talk about a DNF and a race like this.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing that could happen. And Ryan O'Donohue will lead everybody onto the pit lane. Ted Craven has been there already for 6 minutes as he continues to effect repair. Everybody else is on the lead lap, the top 7. Everybody else is going to come down the pit lane. And just like last time, I would imagine that we're going to see several of these cars take a lot of repair. And somebody is around at the front of the field.
It's Ted Craven.
It's Ted Craven. He got everything fixed, went to come off pit lane, and got spun. So there goes Ted Craven. Franco Alvarez is done with his surface. So too Ryan O'Donohue. They will exit 1-2. Everybody else is going to take this opportunity to fix damage. Joshua Zorn, Sam Crow. You see Kendall Paul and Sean Roberts in the front, there. There goes Kendall. There goes Say Lewis Hayes. They are both out. We'll get you the recap on the damage as we continue to see the repair happen. There goes Joshua Zorn. He is off the pit lane. And that'll just leave Sam Crow and Sean Roberts. Sean Roberts had noted the steering damage earlier, and so he's likely got a lot of damage. He says the side skirts on his car are carbon fiber, and that's fair. I'm a sucker for carbon fiber, as most people know. Also, Sean has told us it's 22 laps for a tank of gas, so these guys are going to have to stop here. Caleb.
Yes, they will indeed, and it's actually even to a point where you can even remotely fuel save. You're basically going to be full push the entire time, and the window itself is actually quite narrow if you actually look at the laps comparison. A lot of drivers most of the time it was going to be 30 laps on stage number 3, so they probably would split it down the middle just because of it being a road course. That kind of is the best option, but and that's really the only option you got around here because of how long the laps are. You kind of just can't have to split it down the middle as much as possible because, well, your fuel window isn't really that big. So
yeah, I mean it is, and the other thing, I was kind of looking at this. We're going to get the green flag. I'm going to go ahead and put it to laps to go. 28, 27, 26. Is it possible, if you're, I don't know, say, hey, Lewis Hayes, is it possible to save enough to make it without stopping if you were just champion balloon foot? If you ran around here and did your best Scott Dixon impression, would you be able to make it, Caleb? That extra lap that extra lap in the stage that Ryan O'Donohue did because the gap was so big. Does that put somebody in position to make it the whole way?
I don't think it does with how long the lap is itself. Just below 3.5 miles, and you're already off the throttle so much with how big these braking zones are. It's not like it's going to be like a Road America or even a Watkins Glen you could let off massively early and save so much fuel doing that. I think it's just a little bit too far out of reach to even really be close. I think the absolute maximum you might be able to do is 24 maybe around here, but if we're being told it's 22, that's just a little bit too far a reach for
Well, and then the other
for it
thing
to be
is, does
possible.
somebody do a gas and go? If you did that, you're talking about 3 seconds of fuel maybe. Is that something that somebody might consider if you're in a battle for position? Save the 10 seconds on a tire change. We're about to find out. We're going to get the green flag here with 26 laps to go. Sam Crow has just exited pit lane. We're going to see Say Hey Lewis Hayes dive back on the pit road. So he may be thinking about something similar. Crow is headed back around. The repair schedule went like this. O'Donohue and Alvarez did not take repair. Kendall Paul did 41 seconds. Joshua Zorn did 54 seconds. Sean Roberts on pit lane for 1:56. Say Hey Lewis Hayes did considerably. Say Lewis Hayes did not repair, and he came back in for a gas and go. Sam Crow 4 minutes 26 on the pit lane to fix additional damage, and that picture right there kind of tells the story. There's only 5 cars running around out there right now, Caleb, that don't have damage. Well, make that 6. That don't, well, no, it's 5 that don't have damage.
Yeah, this track is kind of going towards what I said at the beginning, to where it's going to probably be about half these drivers actually finish the race in the first place. And well, we're actually starting in stage number 3, and we actually have less than half. So, or just we have exactly half with Ted Craven if he decides to circulate, in which he is. So we actually have exactly half the field left with just about 26 laps ish. So
Yeah, Ted Craven needs 2 more laps to pass Greg Evans. From there, he'll need 5 more for Houchins and Crash Neon. Then that would put him into the 8th spot. After that, I don't believe he would be able to progress any further when it gets to right now. Craven's 12 laps down, so when it gets to 12 to go, he could effectively pull off and not lose anything. And I'm sure that Ted will consider doing that. Um, but yeah, just the 6 cars. You've got Crow. You've got Sam Crow coming. He would be 7. You've also got Ted Craven coming. He would be 8. Craven was the recipient of the lucky dog, so he'll go to 12 laps down. He was 13, and again, he's just got to make 6 more, and he would move into the 8th spot. Still positions available from Evans, Houchins, and Neon. Ryan O'Donohue is your leader. Franco Alvarez will join him on the front row. Kendall Paul, Joshua Zorn. Row 2, Sean Roberts, Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Row 3, and the trailer is going to be Sam Crow in P7. Ted Craven will line up behind Sam Crow. Do want to thank Outland Custom Arms for their support of the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. At Outland Custom Arms, their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. It's Outland Custom Arms. Who's going to take home the Rogue Energy winning moment? Really, it looks like it's a 2-horse race between Alvarez and O'Donohue at this point, Caleb.
it does indeed here, Murph. It does indeed. Franco Alvarez, well, he led the majority of stage number 2. Unfortunately, got a bit of a bump and run there from O'Donohue. O'Donohue able to take both stage win number 1, number 2. I wonder if we'll see a bit more of a bump and run from Franco Alvarez if he's going to pay the return the receipt to him. We'll just have to wait and see. pace car lights are out. Not too many cars, as we said, are remaining in this race. Basically 7 on the lead lap, 8 in total once Ted Craven comes back around. So we'll see if we get any good battles here. Zorn, Roberts, and Crow were having a decent battle right before that stage caution came out. They were having a good battle with Houchins and Crash Neon, but those guys have both also retired. So we'll see if Alvarez and O'Donohue and possibly the likes of Zorn and Kendall Paul are able to get some good battling here for the lead of this race.
We will. Show and tell time is about to occur here. Ryan O'Donohue.
Green flag.
And Franco Alvarez are going to go for it. O'Donohue gets the drop. He'll lead him across the line. 26 laps to go here from the naval base at Coronado in California, just outside San Diego.
Ooh.
And the front two have begun to race away. And now the question becomes, well,
a big contact.
I was just about to say, I wonder how rough Franco Alvarez is going to play. The answer is very. Sean Roberts had the brakes locked going into turn number 5. He does make the move on Sam Crow. That'll get him back to 5th. And I'm not quite sure that Sam's car is completely fixed at this point, nor am I sure that the car of Roberts is completely fixed. Meanwhile, Kendall Paul has been able to latch himself onto the back of these front two. They have not been able to pull away as they did in the first 2 stages. So looking off the windshield of Kendall Paul, or off the roof cam, I should say, as he tries to keep up with the rapid duo of Alvarez and O'Donohue. Ted Craven has now moved past Greg Evans. He needs to do 5 more to get to that 8th spot.
Yes, he does indeed. You can see as we ride on board with Kendall Paul, the battle between the front two. Well, they pulled away just ever so slightly, but I guarantee it's only going to be it's going to be like this for pretty much a large duration of stage number 3. Kendall Paul gaining a little bit through the pink casino section, but he drops a little bit further back on that left-hand exit. Franco Alvarez has pulled away just a little bit from Ryan O'Donohue, and this is a situation where if he keeps pulling away, well, this is a situation where Ryan O'Donohue actually has to play catch-up now.
Well, but how much of that is Ryan O'Donohue saving his stuff, and how much of that is just playing coy? We saw him all over the back of Franco Alvarez at the end of that last stage, and that last stage was only 11 laps of green flag action, and so O'Donohue may be kind of playing the rope-a-dope with Franco Alvarez. We'll see. Kendall Paul has firmly established himself in 3rd, and then you've got the...
Donahue tapped the wall pretty hard out of 1. I don't believe he got that much damage, but he did hit it pretty hard there.
I think he did. I don't see anything on the car, though. Maybe a little wrinkle in the right front, but not anything too severe. It doesn't appear to be anything that'll hurt him, and if anything, he is now closed back up to the back of Franco Alvarez.
He has indeed. This battle is probably going to go on for the rest of the stage here. Franco Alvarez goes really, really deep through the carrier corner. Let's see, O'Donohue a little bit too far to the back at the moment. He's got to run, but I think he's going to have to really send it if he wants to try to get alongside. He thinks better of it, tries to get a good run through the Red Bull chicane here. But still, again, just a little bit too far back to try to make a move into this left-hander here. You see how close he is at the right-hander portion. He was sending up the inside, holding a really, really tight line through that right-hander all throughout stage number 2. Doesn't really do it that time, but this is a section where it kind of seems like Franco Alvarez is just slightly better than Ryan O'Donohue. He's kind of pulled away just a little bit, going through the Pink Casino section. We'll see if Franco's able to continue that pace going through the rest of the run, through the rest of this lap, and able to just kind of build a gap to Ryan O'Donoghue. But Ryan O'Donoghue, again, just seems to be better in the first section. Franco Alvarez being better in the second. So it'll all come together eventually here, Murph. It'll all come together.
I got to believe that Ryan O'Donoghue is simply waiting for the tires to start to go away on the Franco Alvarez car. If they cut this in half, they're essentially going to have to do two 13-lap stints. And we saw Franco Alvarez's car begin to fade after as few as 6 or 7 laps in that last stage. And Ryan O'Donoghue is doing all of the things, Caleb. He's fading to the outside. He's forcing Alvarez, if Alvarez wants to stay ahead of him, to run a very defensive line. He's pushing him deeper into these corners than I think Franco Alvarez wants to go. And I think that that is the reason you're seeing Alvarez wear down a little bit quicker than you might otherwise would.
Yeah, Alvarez wants to maintain that lead, basically, and he's going to have to push a little bit harder than the tires can really take in order to just keep that position, and that's kind of played into the hands of O'Donoghue. Both these guys are kind of, we talked about Alvarez being a short-run pace, but so is Ryan O'Donoghue a little bit. He has really, really good short-run pace. It's kind of the long runs that sometimes catch him out. But he seems to have really good run pace. Meanwhile, behind them, Kendall Paul loses in place to Sean Roberts, gives up that third-place position. Sean Roberts, a guy that kind of looks like he's got really good long pace around here at Coronado. Might,
Well, and I've found the reason that Kendall Paul and Sean Roberts have swapped spots. Here's the replay. Watch Kendall Paul. At this point he's got a 2 or 3 car length lead over Sean Roberts, but he makes some pretty heavy contact with the concrete barriers there in this narrow Red Bull section, and that allows Sean Roberts to pull alongside on the outside through there. Kendall Paul, again, contact is what precipitated that, and Kendall Paul is now dropping, and he's dropped into the clutches of Joshua Zorn. So Kendall Paul drops out of third, and he's about to lose fourth, Caleb.
Yeah, just one simple mistake, and he loses a significant amount of time there. But it seems like he's kind of stabilized a little bit. He's pulled away from Joshua Zorn and Sam Crow behind. And now he's maintained a little bit of pace there, but he's still got a long ways to go if he wants to try to get that third place spot back. Locks it up going to that left-hander. That's not really going to help his cause. Joshua Zorn closes back up just a little bit.
There they are. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead continues to heat up. Kendall Paul seems to have stabilized. This has stabilized into a fight, Caleb. Ryan O'Donoghue is not going away off the rear of Franco Alvarez.
Yeah, he's not going to go away indeed, although he gets really, really loose there on corner exit. He's going to lose a little bit of time. But, again, Ryan O'Donoghue seems to be very, very tidy around this track. He seems to, have a good grip of it, so he'll gain that gap immediately back up. But he's still just got to get around Franco Alvarez to get the lead back.
Yeah, he does. And for Ryan O'Donoghue, you just want to see him walk away with a result. We've seen him so many times this year in this position where he's fast, he's running in the top 5, the top 3, and something goes awry and he winds up not getting the result that he might have otherwise deserved. He needs to understand a second here is like a win. Kendall Paul, the car he's immediately battling in the points, is behind him. The points leader is out of this race. He's going to pick up a significant amount in the points no matter what happens, but you can't do that if the car's backward in the fence. And so, he needs to understand second right here. racing against a guy who's not running the full series is just like a win.
And it is indeed, but as desperately, he is thinking, as much as he wants to win this race, he's got to think of the results, as you said, and he's came so many times before to getting that first win of the season. He hasn't won yet, as we said, but he has the second most laps led on the season with 301. He has 6 top 5s, 11 top 10s. He's been very, very pretty consistent, over the course of the season, but he's had so many good opportunities at a win slip away. In fact, he's the only driver inside the top 5 in the championship standings at the moment to not win a race so far in the Grand National Series. He's won a couple of times already in the Truck Series this season. He's actually won twice there, but in the Grand National Series, he hasn't been able to capitalize on just getting that big win. He's gotten very close at he came very close at Nashville. He sat on the pole at Charlotte and immediately threw away on lap number 1. He came close at Pocono. He was running strong there. He's had a lot of good results. Same thing at Watkins Glen, Dover. You look at all these races, and basically Ryan O'Donoghue, he's been the man to talk about, but just kind of had either whether it was a mistake or got caught up in an incident, hasn't been able to finally get that first season win.
Well, and there are other ways to do this too, Caleb. You don't have to pass Franco Alvarez right now. There's always the option to use pit strategy. We are now in the pit window, and so tires do mean something here. They are about a second to a second and a half off of their optimum pace. O'Donoghue's a second behind. Look, you don't have to pass him here. You can just short pit him, right? You stop that lap earlier, you've got yourself a 1 second advantage as Ted Craven has pulled his machine back down the pit lane. He's got a black flag, which is unfortunate, but he's doing that just as he passes John Houchins. He just needs to make one more lap to pass Crash Neon.
Yes, he does indeed. He's gotten himself into the top 10, so he's gotten, an ideal result for him around here at San Diego Coronado. But we look at his battle back in the lead. Franco Alvarez, both these drivers have not won a race yet this season. In fact, if you look at across the top 3, if you want to include Sean Roberts, none of these drivers have won a race so far this season in the Grand National Series. Kendall Paul has won a race back at Darlington. Joshua Zorn won at Texas as well. So basically, both these guys are vying for their first Grand National win this season. Franco Alvarez is actually looking for his first career Grand National win, and he's had a lot of good results. Kind of a similar vein as Ryan O'Donoghue, but just equally as heartbreaking. I remember that Kansas race. He led a majority of that race, and it just fell short right at the end there, and he lost to Edward Shearer Jr. there, and he's had plenty of good results since then. He had a good showing at Texas, a good showing at Dover as well, and again, just the same situation as Ryan O'Donoghue, to where it's just kind of slipped away from him.
Yeah, it has. And O'Donoghue, I mean, again, he just, he needs to keep everything moving in the right direction. You do not have to pass Alvarez on the track here. There are other ways to affect that move. As Ted Craven pulls his car back out of the pit lane, I think he realized that he needed to run one more lap, and so he does come back out to run that one lap, and now he is in the 8th spot, and I believe that's the best that he is going to be able to do today. For Alvarez, you'd like to win the race, but he's got to, he's also got to know the situation too. You're running around a guy who's running for a championship. You don't want to put him in jeopardy. To go back a little bit further, you've now got a 3-way fight for that 4th spot. Kendall Paul files his car onto the pit lane, so he's going to be the first to stop. He's going to do it with 20 laps to go. You've got Joshua Zorn and Sam Crow now, 4th and 5th. Kendall Paul on the pit lane. He is going to be in the 6th spot, and he should come out just behind, say, Hey Lewis Hayes in 7th. The battle for the lead still status quo. Franco Alvarez leads it. Ryan O'Donoghue right behind him in 2nd. And we're just waiting on the leaders to blink as far as pit stops go, Caleb.
They are indeed. I also believe Kendall Paul is getting some damage repaired coming down pit lane as well. So he might stay in pit box possibly just a little bit longer to get some of it repaired. But meanwhile, the battle for lead, Franco Alvarez, he's kind of maintained a 2 to 3 car gap over Ryan O'Donoghue in 2nd. And this, the entirety of the 2nd stage, it was basically these two, every single corner, they were, nose to tail. Right now, it's kind of separated itself, and it could be, like Murph said, just O'Donoghue being patient, try to pass him under, pit strategy. Or it could be maybe Franco Alvarez has the pace right now and is kind of pulling away from O'Donoghue and trying to search for his first win.
We're going to figure out which one it is. I tend to think, that O'Donoghue is just trying to play this smart. He's fallen a couple of seconds behind. Franco Alvarez now does have a 2-second advantage, but I think, he's trying to play this smart. He knows he needs a good finish, and he's going to get it. And I'm sure he's got, not only the entire DVD Motorsports team in his ear, but he's got girlfriend Bridget talking to him as well. Trying to let him know, hey, you don't need to be all over the guy. And Ryan O'Donoghue, just as I suspected, he's going to do the short pit. He's going to make his stop with 19 laps to go.
Yeah, I'll give him the undercut here. Get some fresh tires on now and try to build a gap as much as possible. He's probably thinking he could probably defend against Alvarez, even despite him having the fresher tires towards the end. Alvarez going around Ted Craven in the 2nd left-hander there. So Alvarez basically needs to set as much pace as he can, at least on this lap, and then decide on what kind of strategy is he going to try to mirror O'Donoghue, or is he going to try to push these tires as long as possible, try to create as much pace as possible with this current set, and just basically do as close as he can to qualifying laps towards the end of the run here. Ryan O'Donoghue came out pit lane now. He's going through turn 2 right now, so that's about a 30-ish second gap between the two on pit lane. So we'll see how it is when Franco Alvarez finally makes that call to come down pit road.
We will, Caleb, and here's my question. If you're Franco Alvarez, I'm looking at it. That was a very aggressive undercut from Ryan O'Donoghue. We had figured, the drivers are probably going to split this stage in half. If you're Alvarez here, I might just stick with my original game plan.
It's definitely a possibility, just stick with the original game plan, see what O'Donoghue's able to do. And the thing is, O'Donoghue doesn't really have a good reference point. He's got the relative, but he doesn't have a good reference point of, okay, where, is he gaining time in me? Where am I losing time? At least on the road courses, you can kind of gauge that in terms of the pace you're saying. Obviously, he's going to go faster with having the fresher set of Goodyear rubber, but just kind of having that reference point of this is where that car is, I need to maintain pace, it just kind of have a good reference point to where Franco Alvarez now needs to push as hard as he can, but he doesn't have a reference point of if he's pushing hard enough. Gets a little bit loose through turn number 2. No harm, no foul though.
He may not have the reference in the car, but what he does have are friends. So, he's got Mike Rigney down there helping him out. Mike's going to be telling him what the pace is for Franco Alvarez, who drifts it. He's starting to drift it. He's been out there 10 laps on this current set of Goodyear tires. And, for Alvarez, that's got to be a calculation too. He knows that Ryan O'Donoghue at the end of this race is going to be suffering. The number I'm looking at is 2:16.913. That's what Franco Alvarez ran his last time through. His best, 2:15.3. So he's more than a second and a half off of his best lap time. Ryan O'Donoghue's best lap is 2:15 flat, and I am waiting on what his lap is going to be. His out lap was a 2:45, so this is going to be the first lap on the new rubber for Ryan O'Donoghue as he gives chase. And remember, when he came in, he was 2 seconds behind Franco Alvarez, and I almost thought he had deliberately dropped. Almost deliberately dropped back. So there's O'Donoghue, and you can see he is working hard in that number 14 Mass Medical Supply Chevrolet, trying to get every inch that he can out of those new tires. He knows that this is his chance to win the race.
He knows that indeed, but he's going to have a very, very long stint on this set of Goodyear rubber. It's going to be actually the longest stint on a set of tires he's going to have the entire night. So he's got to, he knows he can push a little bit harder with it being fresh out of rubber, but he can't completely burn them off because he might, he might not have any life in towards the end of the run. So he's got to still manage it, but he's still got to push as well. So it's a bit of a tricky situation if you're Ryan O'Donoghue to, how hard you got to push these things.
It is. He continues on. Mike Rigney says he's not in his ear. He's in the zone. You don't mess with the driver in his zone. My point is he has the information available should he ask. Not necessarily that they're feeding it to him, but he can know if he wants to know. And we're about to see what the first lap is for Ryan O'Donoghue because he's just now made it through the bus stop, past the entrance to pit road, on to the front straightaway through that left-hand sweeper. The time, 2:14.612. Last lap for Franco Alvarez, 2:17 flat. So there's the difference. Ryan O'Donoghue has already assumed the provisional lead here with 17 laps to go once Franco Alvarez stops.
Yeah, he's going to keep closing that gap down. But it's all, he's going to perform the undercut, but he's going to have the weakest tires at the end. And then it just is a matter of time of how much, Franco Alvarez is able to close that gap down. We know he's a short run pace type of guy. He's shown that here in the past. Oh, it's just a matter of if he's able to make that short run with probably about 10 to go is when I'm going to guess he's going to come in and take that final set of Goodyear rubber, whether or not he's able to put some absolutely mega laps together to try to catch Ryan O'Donoghue and regain that lead there.
Yeah, and right now Ryan O'Donoghue has done what he needs to do. When the pit stops happen, and we're going to go back to Franco Alvarez because that's the story now, how long does Alvarez stay out? He has pulled away to a 10-second advantage over Sean Roberts. He's got 27 seconds in hand over Joshua Zorn, but 38 and a half now over Ryan O'Donoghue, and that gap is rapidly falling. Alvarez is going to stay out one more time here, Caleb.
One more time. This would put him, theoretically, it would put him about next time around, it would put him halfway in the stage. Obviously, we had those caution laps at the beginning, so technically they're not even halfway through the stage, so it is still an undercut strategy by definition. But he's still got, he still could go a little long ways to finally put that final set of Goodyear rubber on and, throw down some lap times.
Yeah, he is. Last lap for Alvarez, 2:16.679. Ryan O'Donoghue has yet to cross the line there. He is 2:15.386. So another second in the bag for Ryan O'Donoghue. And for O'Donoghue, he's betting that even though Alvarez is going to have the tire advantage, he won't be able to pass him given the narrow confines of this course as we streak toward 15 laps to go here at Naval Base Coronado. You're watching the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. It's a little bit of a downtime at the moment. We're looking we're looking at mostly the official races, Monday and Tuesday nights, the top splits for the Indy cars. We've got the AMA stuff on Thursday and Friday, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 Eastern. The iRacing iRacing IndyCar series is going to happen at 2 o'clock, the top split of that series, 2 o'clock Saturday from Road America. But if you're looking for Area 51, Horizon, those leagues that run on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, the Formula Indy series that runs on Wednesday nights, they're kind of on their summer hiatus. We expect them to be back in late July. Also, the same with the Votive IndyCar series and the Dark Horse CW12 series. So just keep that in mind. We continue to go and roll along with Franco Alvarez as he goes for another. He'll come to 15 laps to go, and this would be halfway in the stage when he makes this one. The time for Alvarez is 2:16, 2:36. Ryan O'Donoghue, the tires have started to fall away from that car just a little bit. His last time was 2:15, 370. The good news for O'Donoghue, he hit no traffic. He didn't come out with any other cars around him, so he didn't have anybody hold him up, and he didn't have to use any energy to get around another car. Here's O'Donoghue across the line, and for O'Donoghue, this next lap is 2:15, 621. So picks up another half a second. Joshua Zorn has come to the pit lane. He will pit his car at exactly the halfway mark. Pleased to report that Ted Craven has made it into the 8th spot. In 6 laps, he will be able to, at the end of this lap, he will be able to gain no more. So Ted Craven not able to gain any more spots after this next time through. The final act to be played, Caleb. When is Franco Alvarez going to pit? Where's he going to come out in relationship to Ryan O'Donoghue? And is he going to have enough time to catch and pass him?
Well, I guarantee you it's going to be a situation in that last one. He's obviously choosing the overcut strategy at this point. And then, it's going to be a matter of, when does, how many laps you want to do on that final set of tires. It seemed like for him about 10 laps possibly could be the play here and that way you're able to push as hard as you can without worrying about tire life. So that's probably my guess into when he'll come in. As you can see, he hits the wall there. So we'll see, when he's going to come in at this point. I do want to point out Kendall Paul at some point has hit the wall and got a meatball. It seems like he's back out on track 4 laps down. So what was a top 5 finish he's gonna fall back into the 7th place spot. So right now the entire story, the headline story is basically Franco Alvarez versus Ryan O'Donoghue. Ryan O'Donoghue already pitting, choosing the undercut strategy. Franco Alvarez has yet to pit. And basically, when he comes out of pit lane, if he's able to close that gap down, then O'Donoghue is already putting on. So,
yeah, last time through, O'Donoghue was a couple of seconds quicker. 2:17.8 for Alvarez, 2:16.1, so 1.7 seconds the difference that time. And for Alvarez, now you need to start weighing the benefits of having the fresher tires at the end versus, now he's on some pretty old stuff. And it's not just the time that he's losing, but he about lost his race car.
Yeah, and, the longer you go on a set of tires, obviously the harder it's going to be to control. And that's another thing O'Donoghue's got to consider. He's going to choose the undercut strategy. He's going to choose the pace now, and he's going to have, no pace. But he's also got to think, he's going to wear out both ends of the car on those tires. And a track like, a street circuit, well, you basically got to be near picture perfect with all your inputs. The more those tires wear, those walls seem to grow ever closer, and that's another thing he's got to consider. It's not like a typical road course to where, okay, you have at least a little bit of runoff to where if you make a mistake, it's probably going to be fine. As we say there, Franco Alvarez puts in the chat, he's going to pit in this time. He put the pitting in call as quick bind there.
So Franco Alvarez is going to come this time. Mike Rigney wants to know if Kendall is out, does that mean Ted could get one more position? Is Ted still running? Yes, Ted is still running, and no, Kendall is not out. Yeah, Kendall pitted 10 minutes for repair and is 4 laps down. Ted Craven is 12 laps behind him and 16 down. So assuming Kendall Paul makes 2 more, Ted Craven cannot gain any more positions, and Ted Craven also now has the meatball, and so he is under tow to the pit lane, and so that point is moot. We are covering the stop for Franco Alvarez because this is the race. Sean Roberts has flashed into the lead on a temporary basis. He is going to have to stop. Lewis Hayes is still out there, circulating slowly. This could be interesting. Remember, he came in and topped up. Here comes Alvarez back out. There goes Ryan O'Donoghue. And the gap is going to be about 3.5 seconds. Now, for Alvarez, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Cold tires, Caleb. Cold tires, cold tires, cold tires.
Cold tires indeed, but in these things, it takes about, it seemed to be about half a lap is when they took a warm up. In the Goodyear and really just stock car tires in general, they bumped the PSI to a certain point to where basically your first lap most of the time is your go lap, and then the tires just disintegrate from there. So he's got to be mindful that cold tires are definitely still a thing. They'll probably be better than the worn tires he just had, though, but he's still got to be careful about that and not lock up the car, not try to wheel spin, because then you'll ruin the tires for the rest of the run there. You already see that gap does seem to be closing down just a little bit to that 14 machine. It's 41 versus 14, an inverse in numbers, I just realized. But Franco Alvarez on the fresher set of tires, I think it's about a 6-lap difference here, Murph. So he's got a little bit of pace to work with. We'll see if he's able to close 3.5 seconds, and he looks very, very quick, at least on his outlap.
Yeah, he's already whittled that down to 1.2 or to 2.2 seconds. Remember, it was 3.5, so he's already chopped that by a third. We continue to watch Franco Alvarez as he marches back toward Ryan O'Donoghue. He's got the tail out on that Mobil 1 Chevrolet, though. It's not as if he's babying that car, and you got to be careful. He's got the advantage on tires by 6 laps. But you can also, and there he hits the wall a little bit, coming off a turn 15. You can also hurt the tires, and doesn't matter how new they are at that point. Once you burn them off, they're not coming back.
Yeah, that's basically how these Goodyear tires work. Once you burn them off, no matter how early in the run is, they're pretty much done, and you get that a lot, with a little lockup or a little bit of wheel spin. You just kind of make any sort of mark on the tire, and it basically ruins it for the rest of the run. And we see that with the IndyCar tire all the time with the alternate tires, to where you lock it up, the fronts, and you flat spot them. You basically ruin the tire for the rest of the run there. So it's not as prevalent on the stock car side, but it is still definitely there. You can see him closing that gap down. He needs to still set the pace and try to close that gap. But even then, he still got to get by Ryan O'Donoghue.
Yeah, catching the man is one thing. Passing him is most certainly another. Franco Alvarez now down to 1.3 seconds as you're right on board with the rapid driver of the number 41. He's going to get there. That's not the question. The question is he going to be able to do anything with him once he does? I thought maybe Ryan O'Donoghue had stopped about 3 laps too early. If he'd have stopped, he stopped 7 laps ago and he stopped 3 or 4 laps ago, he'd probably still be in the same spot, but the tires wouldn't be such a huge difference. O'Donoghue tags the wall a little bit, and here goes Franco Alvarez, and we're going to have a change for the lead right there. Franco Alvarez is going to try to flash into the lead, and he will do so. And that was kind of anticlimactic. Ryan O'Donoghue tagged the wall a little bit. Franco Alvarez says thank you very much. And right back in the lead, Alvarez goes. But O'Donoghue did lead some more laps, and that's an interesting thought because that may give him the most laps led here, since he led the balance of Stage 1 and about half of Stage 2. That may give him the most laps led, and that's points, Caleb.
Yeah, points at the end of the day. He's already beating the majority of his championship rivals. Kendall Paul is back in 7th despite being 4 laps down. Greg Evans back in 11th. He's on back-to-back DNFs basically here in the Grand National Series. And you look at the rest of the standings, he's basically best off. Sam Crow's right behind him, but he's ahead of him in the standings at the moment. And then John Hutchins is back in P9 DNF'd. So he's basically beating all of his championship rivals right now, besides, Sean Roberts, but Sean still has yet to pit. So he can let, Franco running away with it isn't, obviously he still wants to get that first win of the season in the Grand National Series. Won a couple times in trucks, we already said that, but he still is looking for that first Grand National win, and he would have loved the guy. And he's gamed so many times. Would love to get here. Obviously, every single race you want to try to get, but would love to get here. He was dominating most of the race, but obviously the strategy is not going to go his way, and Franco Alvarez is going to just kind of maintain a solid pace and just kind of set sail in the distance.
Yeah, I mean he's already built a 2-second advantage over Ryan O'Donoghue, and so that battle is kind of done and dusted. Meanwhile, Sean Roberts is still out there. Sean Roberts is 17 laps into the current run. He's got 11 to go. He'll have 10 this time by, and there goes Roberts. And so he'll file into the pit lane. Everybody has now stopped that is still on the lead lap, with the exception of, say, hey, Lewis Hayes. And there's Lewis. He is, effectively a minute behind. And I don't know, unless he somehow makes it, Caleb, I don't know that Lewis Hayes is going to be able to stay on the lead lap. He has definitely got 6th locked down, barring any sort of a catastrophe.
Yes, he does. He has just been, kind of playing quiet too. He hasn't been involved in any incident. His car looks completely clean at the moment. Starting 11th position, is currently in the 6th position, as we already said. But his car looks fairly clean, and there's a reason, he's still on the lead lap, is just simply because of that. He hasn't really, shown the strongest pace. Goes a little bit wide there, but, if you stay out in a track that's as difficult as this, and you're able to, just keep a solid, steady pace, not getting any incidents, you'll get a good result out of it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what, say, hey, Lewis Hayes has done. He understood the assignment. He's kept his car clean. He stayed out of every incident. He stayed out of everybody's way. He's not hurt anything, and he's not been hurt by anybody, and there he sits, 6th place, and that's exactly what you need if you're, say, hey, Lewis Hayes. Kendall Paul in the 7th spot. We'll flash back to Kendall. He is 4 laps down. The only other car still running because Ted Craven has retired his automobile. He can no longer make up any spots, but Kendall Paul, he's still circulating. He's 7th. That's this is kind of what you call a championship effort. He salvaged his day. He doesn't lose a whole lot. Joshua Zorn, he's been in some scraps today, but he is currently 5th. Sam Crow, I think, over the course of the day, at one point he was a lap down. He got that back. If I'm not mistaken, that car has probably spent at least 15 minutes on the pit lane under repair, and here it is. He's got it in the 4th spot, and that's a great result for Sam. Not noted as a huge road racer. Sean Roberts in 3rd. He's been oh so close to some great results this year and had it slip through his fingers. He continues to run 3rd, and we've talked at length about O'Donoghue and Alvarez. There's Franco Alvarez. He's extended this out to a nearly 4-second advantage now with 9 laps to go, Caleb.
Yes, he has. Basically, just got to set a nice steady pace, not, do anything crazy. You have the fresher tires. You're going to keep pulling away from him. So you just got to, kind of do this for about, just shy of 10 laps at this point.
Yeah, and look, Franco Alvarez made the right call, right? He went with the extreme overcut. I don't think what he did was extreme. I think he just went with his plan. I think he figured O'Donoghue would stop about halfway. Ryan did not. He came in and tried for the undercut, and Alvarez just stayed to his plan. Ultimately, it's not going to matter in terms of positioning for either man, but it does give you insight into kind of what they were thinking. O'Donoghue hyper aggressive, trying to win a race. Franco Alvarez, he's going to do what he's going to do and not be affected by anybody else. And maybe, Caleb, that's information that you can file away and use later, isn't it? In a different race, in a different place.
You could indeed, but, it just has to be a specific scenario. We only got a handful of road courses left on the schedule for this specific situation. And as I say, we're going to go right back to another road course, conveniently also in California, in Sonoma. So maybe, the same strategies, will collide again there. Sonoma does like to, it's a lot of the same corners, a lot of sweeping corners, a lot of off-banked corners there. Completely different style of track, at least in terms of road courses, to this one. So we'll probably see a lot of, or at least a handful of drivers, shuffle around in terms of what they saw here today. It'll be a little, quite a bit cleaner at least. There's a little bit more runoff at Sonoma than there is here, but hopefully it's not 6 cars still on the lead lap by the end of it when we get to the end of the checker flag of that one.
Yes, he has. Just about 7.5 laps to go. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing action here on P1. It's kind of lighter on the league stuff right now. Area 51, Horizon, Formula Indy Series, all of those are kind of on their summer hiatus. Most of those leagues, Dark Horse, Votive, they do take summer breaks. Most of them will be back in action with a B season that starts sometime around the end of July, beginning of August, middle of July, depending on what their schedules are. I know Dark Horse, for example, is back in action on July the 12th. So a couple of, they've got, another 3-4 weeks. And they'll be back. That's their opener is going to be from Kansas. Then they'll go to Auto Club. You've got the Votive Indy Derby coming up. Caleb, I know you're sharpening your knives for that one. That's going to be on July the 26th. So the Sunday night stuff starting back up here in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. The Horizon IndyCar Series starts the Wednesday before Votive, and I'm fairly certain that Area 51 is excuse me, going to have their B season at some point, pretty close to that as well. So stay tuned. But if you ring that bell, you'll get a notice every time we go live. Franco Alvarez gives notice that he's got 7 laps to go. I would show other battles, Caleb, but there really aren't any at this point.
Not really. The closest battle is actually for the lead, but that's still a gap of 3 seconds, and that's basically, well, I got something that's interesting to talk about. Sean Roberts just clattered the wall in the chicane pretty hard in the final chicane. He's coming down pit lane now. That might be
that might be day done.
That might be day. Yeah, indeed.
Oh,
yeah, that was
just missed it on the final little right flick through there. Watch this. It's on board Sean Roberts. He didn't hit anything there, just kind of misjudged how much wheel he needed, and that is a hard lick. He's going to have enough steam to make it back to the pit lane, but there's definitely a meatball. Now, he's going to want to get that fixed. He is, if he can, because he is a full-time competitor. And so, for Roberts, he can still finish 6th, depending on how long that repair takes. Sometimes a meatball can take a couple of minutes. Sometimes the meatball can take however long it takes, Caleb, but you never really know. But Sean Roberts back on the pit lane. Franco Alvarez has been dropping time to Ryan O'Donoghue. O'Donoghue was 0.6 of a second quicker the last time through, Caleb. It had ballooned out to about 4 seconds. O'Donoghue's got that cut down to about 3.
Yeah, I think Alvarez did make a mistake last time around. We'll see if that gap has kind of maintained. It's kind of stayed. It's kind of grown back to 3.5 seconds. It was 3 seconds right across the line there. So I think it was just a case scenario of maybe Alvarez made a mistake there, which is something he definitely doesn't want to do, given he basically has this race sealed and done. Hops across the line. This time around, across the line, it's going to be, he's going to increase it to 3.3. So he gained 0.3 of a second last time around, but lap times are still kind of maintaining here. He's got just under 6 laps to go. And if O'Donoghue's got anything left in those tires and Alvarez has killed his, maybe he could try to pull this one back.
There it is. Franco Alvarez continues along. He's got 5.5 laps to pay dirt around this temporary street course in Coronado. Ryan O'Donoghue continues to give chase. This is the closest battle on the track. Sehe Lewis Hayes does get promoted into the 5th spot. Here's something else, though, that we might want to consider. Franco Alvarez is going to catch Sehe Lewis Hayes before the end of this race. He's only about, he's about 17 seconds behind him. Hayes is lapping he might not. Yes, he will. So Hayes is about 17 seconds ahead up the road from Franco Alvarez. I can't talk. And Hayes is also about 5 seconds a lap slower. So Franco Alvarez is going to have to contend with some lap traffic before all this is over too, Caleb.
He will indeed. Sean Roberts has officially retired from the session, so he might actually lose a place to Kendall Paul when it's all said and done for the 6th place spot. Lewis Hayes will be promoted to 5th, as we said. Kendall Paul into the 6th spot if he's able to continue circulating. So other than that, that's kind of that's really the most recent storyline we got. There's another car coming down pit lane. That's Sehe Lewis Hayes. He's going to get out of the way of the leaders.
I think that's scheduled service. He'd been out for 20 laps. So Hayes is going to come in and pit his car and might as well. He can't really lose. I don't think Lewis wants to interfere with the battle for the lead. Ryan O'Donoghue has it cut down now to under 3 seconds. One, it's scheduled service. Lewis wasn't going to make it. The other is, I think he chose that opportunity to get out of the way.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear cut. Obviously scheduled service, and then probably just was very convenient that it came in front of the leaders. So he was just getting out of his way, especially considering that, his teammate is currently seems to be closing that gap down just ever so slightly to the leader, Franco Alvarez, for the win here.
Yeah, it was not so long ago. It was 4 seconds. Then it became 3.5. Then it became 3. Then it ballooned back out to 3.5. But now it has dropped under 3 seconds at certain parts of the course. It's always hard to tell a gap exactly at a road course, because the gap measurements that we have on the screen there, or the intervals, they're live. And one guy is in a fast, on a straightaway, another guy's in a slow corner, it's going to artificially change. I'm looking at it at sectors through timing and scoring, and Ryan O'Donoghue is definitely faster than Franco Alvarez. The thing is, he's 3 seconds behind him now, and I don't know that even if he gets there, he's going to have enough time to do anything with him. Alvarez has already proven he's very difficult to pass, Caleb, and I would imagine it would get even more difficult if it was for the win with just a couple of laps to go.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the case scenario. If you can't get by him, during the middle of stage number 2, and you're trying lap after lap, and eventually the only reason he even got around him was, he kind of bumped and run Alvarez out of the way, not intentionally, but that's kind of the way it went. So if he does close this gap down to where he's in a position to where he's going to get alongside Alvarez, it might not be too unfamiliar to possibly see that same move that O'Donoghue did. Possibly slightly more intentional this time around, though.
No, I don't know. I don't think Ryan O'Donoghue would do anything like that here. Again, it's risk versus reward. It's knowing where you're at and what you need out of this. Remember, Franco Alvarez not running the full schedule, not eligible for the championship, at least not right now. Look, this is the equivalent of a win for Ryan O'Donoghue in terms of points. Yes, he doesn't get the trophy, but for points reasons, this is as good as a win for Ryan. You just have to, even if he does get there, you have to do what's best for the future, do what's best for the race car, bring it home with maximum points, and live to fight another day. And he certainly seems to be willing to do that here. Franco Alvarez is going to come through. He's got 4 laps to go here, Caleb. And he's pulled that gap back out to 3.5 seconds or so.
Yeah, it seems like Alvarez has gotten that pace back just a little bit, or at least maintained it over Ryan O'Donoghue. So he's only got 3 more laps to go, probably about 7 minutes until he comes across the checker flag and finally wrap this very, very long one up.
That's the thing. I was looking at that. Tomorrow night, it's only 50 laps. So the trucks are only going to do 50. And it doesn't seem like that's a big difference. 10 laps here takes almost half an hour. So 60 might have been a little bit ambitious on the race distance. It's been a good one though. We've had some battles. We've definitely had some attrition. We've definitely had some strategy, and now we're down to the last essentially 13 miles of the event. Franco Alvarez with about 3 seconds in hand over Ryan O'Donoghue. It's worth noting that with the trouble for Sean Roberts and Kendall Paul, Sam Crow has moved his way into the 3rd spot. And so we're gonna have to ask Sam how much repair that car took to get it to where he could finish on the podium. Be my thought, because he spent a significant portion of this race on the pit lane. Matter of fact, if you remember, Caleb, he went a lap down early in this one to effect repair to his machine.
Yeah, he went a lap down, got the lucky dog, and now he's ever since then he had a very, very rough first stage. He hit the wall. What was it, lap 3? He just hit the wall. It might have been lap 2. He absolutely slammed the wall. That's where he got the majority of the damage, and then kind of had a incident later on in the stage number 1, and eventually went a lap down because of it, and got some of that damage repaired, but still had to go a lap down to his teammate. But he got the lucky dog under first stage caution, and now, well, he's in a podium place just because, well, he kept it out of the wall ever since then. So,
yeah,
not too uncommon. We've seen that once or twice here in the AMA.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong. What's the old adage, Caleb? To finish first, you must first finish. Sam Crow has not been the fastest car tonight. He's probably not even been in the top 10 in terms of raw pace. But to finish first, Caleb, you must first finish. And Sam Crow on pace to finish. And if he does, he's going to come home with a podium. We get Franco Alvarez coming down the front straightaway now. He's going to have 2 laps to go, and this will be over in about 5 minutes, barring any sort of catastrophe. Franco Alvarez now with a 3.9 second advantage over Ryan O'Donoghue. Sam Crow is 54 seconds down. Joshua Zorn a minute 9 seconds. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is a lapped 5th. Kendall Paul 4 laps down in 6th. There are only 6 cars circulating on the racetrack as of right now. There are no lap traffic issues. It's just down to how much longer, or it's just down to running down the laps now, Caleb. And Franco Alvarez looks to be firmly in control.
He does indeed, and it seemed earlier on, it was going to be the Ryan O'Donoghue show in stage number 1. He led. Well, he immediately shot out to about a 3-second lead at the end of lap number 1 over Kendall, and then led every single lap in stage number 1. And then Franco, who had climbed his way from 10th to 3rd in stage number 1 on a road course, at a brand new road course, he lines up behind O'Donoghue in stage number 2. He is battling like crazy with O'Donoghue the entirety of stage number 2, and eventually, he was leading and unfortunately got moved out of the way and finished 3rd. However, this time he keeps the lead here, and he's only got probably from this point about 5 miles left to go to take the checker flag, to take his first win here in the AMA.
Yes, he will. Franco Alvarez has put on a masterclass, and Ryan O'Donoghue has backed way off the pace now, 6.2 seconds behind Franco Alvarez. Alvarez, his last two are 2:16.736. O'Donoghue is in the 2:17s. They are both lapping 4 to 5 seconds quicker than the remaining cars as Alvarez comes through turn 16 one more time, and he'll see the white flag from Barney. This is the final lap from Coronado here in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Franco Alvarez, a masterclass in street course driving in a Grand National car this evening. There's not really much to say when you see one that's dominant, is there, Caleb?
Not really, especially one that's gone on, this long. It seemed like we were going to get a good battle there at the end, but with the tire strategies converging. But really kind of just was one simple move going coming out of the pink casino corner. I will say the one advantage of this track is the banners are. We could just name the corners after that. This is Franco Alvarez going through the Red Bull section. Up here, I guess you can call it Camping World section.
yeah.
Camping World section. Next is the pink casino section. Really easy to identify where on the track is. It's not like the same sponsor throughout the entirety of the track, so that's kind of unique, I guess you could say.
It is. It's much better than the old advertising billboards at Monaco. If you go back, Caleb, and look, they used to have
Rolex.
Well, my goodness, they used to have banners of basically every company that existed in the world hung all over the place. If you go back and watch, if you go back and look at Monte Carlo from the late '80s, early '90s, it was not one advertisement per corner. It was 100 or 200 per corner, it seemed. Franco Alvarez, he doesn't have to worry about what advertisements are at what corner now. Here he goes through the bus stop. He's going to have one more corner, and Franco Alvarez will take the victory. He drifts through those two corners, and Franco Alvarez putting on a show as he comes through. Franco Alvarez will be your winner. Ryan O'Donoghue is going to come home second. And now we wait because Sam Crow is about a minute behind here. And there's Sam. And give Sam his due in that black acid machine. He's going to come home a fine third, assuming he makes it another couple of corners, Caleb.
A very, very fine third. We said he was a lap down earlier at the end of stage number 1. Got the lucky dog. Kept the car clean for the rest of the race. And is going to finish on the podium. He kept his head down. Did the old Ted Craven strategy there of you're not out of it until you're completely out of it. He's going to finish on the podium here. An absolutely impressive job from Sam Crow to keep that car moving forward.
It is. Josh, there he goes. He's going to come across the line as darkness starts to fall here on the naval base in San Diego at Coronado. There's Sam Crow. Joshua Zorn is going to be your final finisher. He's going to come through just ahead of just behind Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Well, we've still got one more, and that's Kendall Paul. Here's Kendall in the 78. He will be your last finisher in 6th. Everybody else out of this one. Here comes Kendall Paul, and he is going to have a minute. While we wait Kendall Paul, there is your Rogue Energy winning moment. It's owned by that man, Franco Alvarez. If you go to rogueenergy.com and use promo code AMA24, you get 10% off of your order. That is rogueenergy.com, promo code AMA24. You get 10% off of your order. Kendall Paul has now finished. And Caleb, that brings us to the final results. Franco Alvarez is your winner. Ryan O'Donoghue second. Sam Crow is going to bring it home third. Joshua Zorn, Say Hey Lewis Hayes, round out your top 5. It's a fine top 5 for Say Hey Lewis Hayes. 6th, Kendall Paul. Sean Roberts 7th. Ted Craven is 8th. He made up 8 spots just by being persistent and continuing to make laps after everybody else had trouble. Crashing on, and John Houchins out of the race, 9th and 10th. Also out of the race, points leader Greg Evans, Christopher Logan, Brian Sharp, Troy Carricker, Lee Campbell, and David Dunwoody of the 16 entries. There you have it. All right, Caleb. Let's see if we can get some, let's see if we got some drivers here to talk to. None yet. So, we're going to pluck Sam Crow into the broadcast booth as soon as I can arrange the movements. There he is. Sam? Sam Crow, you've got Murph, you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Hey guys, how are you?
You persisted, but we got to ask, what was the total damage on that 8 from your shunt at the beginning of the race? How
It
much
was
how much
it
time did
was
it take to fix
seven.
it?
Yeah, it was 7 minutes. It was 7 minutes, and so I stayed in there until I went a lap down, and then I stayed in there a little bit longer to repair some more damage, but I didn't want to go 2 laps down, and I knew I was in the lucky dog spot, so I just got back out on the track and tried to stay ahead of the leaders. The car was almost undrivable, but everything worked out. It just worked out. I was able to get almost every bit of the damage fixed, and I am absolutely just. I feel like I have survived a zombie movie. You know, this was the Day of the Dead, and I just happened to not get bit. You know, to the point that I turned into a zombie, but it was definitely it was a challenge. But absolutely, the highlight is to be able to finish on the podium. It's just it made all that aggravation worth it.
For sure. It's always a good day when you're finishing in the top 3. Caleb, what do you have for Mr. Sam Crow this evening?
Well, survival of the fittest, but I think I'm going to ask everybody in the podium a very serious question here
He
tonight.
always asks the most serious of questions, Sam.
Only the
Oh.
most serious. What was your favorite bump on the track?
my favorite bump.
Do you still have all the fillings in your teeth? That's the other question.
Okay, now it depends on if the word favorite is sarcasm or you literally mean my favorite bump.
I mean,
We'll go with the sarcasm answer.
Well, for me, it was that nasty bump on that right-hander, turn 4, I believe it is. It was just that nasty bump there. It was so bad. Absolute. Well, let me see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. Turn 4. Yeah, it's just that sweeping right-hander, and then you're going over what seems, I guess it's train tracks or something. I don't know, but it feels like train tracks. But if I had to say that it was my sarcastically favorite bump, that would be the one because it just disturbed the car so much. You just could not get into the throttle as fast as you want to get into the throttle, and that one really perplexed me.
well, I tell you what, I would have been perplexed by every corner and every bump in this place, Sam, because I would rather take a long walk off a short pier wearing cement shoes
Yeah,
than
I
race on a
really
road
didn't
course.
take into I I really completely was so excited about qualifying up front and then starting up front that it just slipped my mind. Hey, stupid, you're on cold tires. And the first time I went into 5, it just swept right up to the wall on me. And then after that, it said I had wheel damage, and so the car just got the more wear that was on the tires, the wheel damage became that much more exaggerated, and so I just couldn't even stop the car at some points, and that's how bad it was.
I bet. Well, the good news is you got it fixed. You wind up on the podium, and with the podium comes the privilege. Shout them out, my man. Friends, family,
Uh,
sponsors. You've earned it.
Thank you so much. I don't know when I never thought I'd get a podium here at this racetrack, but or any podium. It just seems hard to come by nowadays. But I do want to give a shout out to Charles Van Varellis, who watches every single one of these races. He shows up week in and week out at P1, and he watches all of these races. And we race for his brother John, who passed away. And when the car was so tore up, I could literally hear John yelling to me in my headset saying, "You better get back out there. You better get back out there." So we raced for John and Charles. I hope you're watching. Well, I know you're watching, but thanks for cheering us on. I hate Greg and others had tough night, but also I want to give a shout out to Black Acid Racing Apparel. Those folks have been so kind to stay on the car this year, and they're extremely happy with the exposure that they're getting here through P1. And so if you have any race apparel needs, Black Acid would be a great company to go and talk to, or find them on the internet. They'll take good care of you. And then, of course, I'd be amiss not to say nice things about my teammates and all the guys that join us week in and week out, that we talk each other through these things. Ryan, I really thought Ryan had the car tonight, and it just didn't work out for him. And Lewis with a great finish. I'm extremely happy that Lewis was steady as a rock all night long and just was able to get a top 5. But Greg, Rick Fallis, Mike Rigney, Joshua Zorn, all those guys, they're in our group, and we talk constantly, and I just appreciate all of them. And then, of course, you guys. It's always a rare treat that I get to come in here and talk to you. And so thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
Sam, you're one of the nicest men in sim racing, and I mean that. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Well,
We'll
I
see you in the
appreciate you.
next one.
Thank you. Good night.
That is Sam Crow. He is your third place finisher tonight for his DVD Motorsports teammate. We turned to Ryan O'Donohue. Ryan, so you were one of the few cars that didn't have damage. Was Bridget standing behind you with a frying pan, threatening to whack you in the head if you hit the wall? Was that the case here?
Yeah, I was trying not to.
I don't think you got it. You were one of the few during the race that we noticed did not take any damage repair in the pit lane. You went with the aggressive undercut. Talk us on that pit stop. Talk us through your strategy, and what you thought about coming at basically the beginning of the window.
I don't know. I can blame this on a lot of things. New UI is kind of weird with my usual overlay doesn't work, and I had to just not guess on fuel, and I just figured I'd take it all and take tires and run laps by myself because I knew how I was going to get raced otherwise. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
For the serious questions, I'll turn you over to my partner in crime, Caleb Brashear. Caleb, what do you have for Ryan this evening?
Well, only the most serious questions for the most serious track in this very serious sim. What what since we're at basically a Air Force base, what's your favorite type of plane?
I don't know. I like a good biplane. We got an airport right in town, and we're always up on a mountain working on stuff, and he's always flying over and waving at us. So it's a little yellow biplane we got. He's pretty handy with that thing too. Sometimes he does a little roll for us.
There you go. There you go. I did not expect Little Yellow Biplane. By the way, it is much funnier when Brashear says that to face, and he's trying to be serious, and he's really not. It's hard not to laugh. So you'll get to see that in a couple of months. But with that said, I know you're tired, Ryan. I know you're wore out, and I know you probably just want to go to bed. But before we let you go, friends, family, sponsors, shout them out, my friend. You've earned it.
Yeah, girlfriend for watching as always. She's we both got the day off tomorrow, so she was sitting behind me for this one. We'll try again tomorrow. I guess this was a good points night, but yeah, just want to move on. I guess DVD Motorsports, all my guys. Looks like a lot of guys had a good finish tonight, and doing it all for John, and hope Charles is enjoying watching us. And High Torque New York, Mass Surgical Supply, Heatwave Visual, 80 Creek Karting, Sim Magic, Simshop, AMA, all the admins, Kendall, that's on a great league here. Just proud to race with these guys. And all their sponsors, Archway Industrial Coatings, Outland Custom Arms, Black Magic Studios, Track Racer, Rogue Energy, Admin Box. And yeah, we'll watch this one back and give P1 a shout out as always. You guys always put on heck of a broadcast. So I'm sure we made it look really exciting there for a few minutes, and everybody watching. And yeah, we'll move on tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for stopping in, stopping by. As always, keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
Yes, sir.
It is Ryan O'Donohue. We will put him back in. Well, maybe not. He was ready to go, Caleb, and that'll bring us to our winner, Franco Alvarez, and we've minted another new winner in the AMA. Franco, you've got Murph, you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You hear us?
I got you guys.
That was a titanic battle with Ryan O'Donohue there in the second stage. Talk to us about the contact, what you felt, and how you managed to turn the tables. He checked out in the first stage. You guys raced even in the second, and in the third stage, it was all yours. How did you do it?
To describe it perfectly, Mark, I had a poor qualifying. I hit the wall of both laps, so I had to start from 10th. I made my way through the field all the way to second. Lost second position. I burned my stuff pretty bad. I learned from that for the second stage. I was aggressive because I knew Ryan was really fast. So I was aggressive at the beginning, tried to pass him and then defend for the rest of the run. And so yeah, on the last chicane, I just got bumped out of the way. I got spun out of the way. So I just tried to recover the next restart. Was really aggressive again. I was able to pass him once more, and I learned from the second stage. I burned my stuff pretty bad again, and I applied some learnings that I did behind Ryan, and I had much better pace at the finish, and I was able to get my first win.
So now you get to have the best part of the winners interview. You get to have Caleb Brashear ask you only the most serious of questions. Caleb, take it away.
Well, I would ask the normal question, but I feel like with how this race went, and for this specific track, I'm going to ask a slightly different one. So, around the track, there was a lot of specific sections of track to where there was a bunch of like advertising boards, and we didn't know the corner names, so we just called it by whichever advertising board. Well, of all the boards that were around the track, which was your favorite to come by and see every single time you lapped it?
My favorite, that might be that I cannot remember the name. It was the pink one, that little chicane with the tire bundle.
Yeah, it's a casino.
Oh, the Pala Casino. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Pala Casino.
That was pretty fun. Yeah, because you can get really, really tight to the wall and to the tire bundle, then you get that really, really slow left-hander. So yeah, that section was pretty fun.
Caleb has a follow-up to that one, and I'm going to ask it because we asked Sam, what was your favorite bump on the racing surface tonight?
I didn't like any of them, to be fairly honest, but one that was pretty chaotic was the one at the exit of turn 1 on the downhill to turn 2, because the car was wobbling a lot on the braking zone, and you had to be very careful because you might have lost it and spawn on corner entry. So that was pretty interesting on that section.
Well, you'll actually see it when you go back and watch the race. The cars were getting airborne. That's why they felt like that. They were actually the front ends were coming off the ground and they were getting airborne, going down into that next corner. So you were landing and then trying to brake at just about the same time. So that was the reason for all that fun.
And let me tell you, you can feel it on the wheel. Like you can actually feel the car wobbling on the steering when it lands. So yeah, and it created some opportunities too, because I was able to pass Ryan, because like on that bump I was extremely aggressive on braking. He was a little bit careful because of the bump, and that was allowed me to pass him at the start of stage 3.
Gotcha. Well, I tell you what, Franco, you wound up going through the field. You wound up with a dominant win in the end. Here at P1, you win the race. You get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs. The floor is yours.
First of all, I am so happy to be here in the MMA. Great league, super fun racing. I didn't have the execution throughout the season, but good speed. So finally, the first win. So happy for that. Thanks, guys, for the great broadcast. Thanks for the guys on my team, the La Docta. Thanks for the Mushroom Band that are watching here and cheering for me. All the friends from the Discord. And I mean, another road course next week. Who knows? It's super hard to win here, but let's try my best to get another one in Sonoma.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Franco, for stopping in and stopping by. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks so much. You do a great job on the podcast, guys.
Thank you for the compliments. You don't have to flatter us, but we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good one. That is Franco Alvarez. He is your winner tonight. And Caleb, a pretty dominant performance when you consider who he passed, how he passed him, and that he just drove off into the sunset.
Yeah, and it was completely unexpected given how that very first stage went. O'Donoghue leading every single lap. He was 3 seconds ahead of everybody else at the end of lap number 1, and we kind of thought maybe that's how the rest of the race will go. But Franco showed that, he could battle, O'Donoghue for majority of stage number 2. He can go side by side and fend off O'Donoghue. And not only that, just get by him in general, to where we thought maybe O'Donoghue had this one in the bag. And then we get to the third stage, he got by O'Donoghue again and was able to pull a little bit of a gap, and then made the overcut strategy work and basically walk off into the sunset from there. So, but it's always good to see somebody get their first win in this series. Franco, this is his first season. He's running a partial season, but for him to get his very first win in the series is always great to see.
Absolutely, and that just goes to show you there is nothing for certain in a sim race, just like there's nothing for certain on the real life racetrack, and there's nothing for certain here on P1 except the following broadcast times. Tomorrow night we're going to be right back. Here for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series from San Diego. It's a 50 lapper. Well, Caleb and I will be here 8:20 for the pre-race, 8:35 for the race start. Saturday, it's the 2026 IndyCar iRacing Series presented by 40 Racewear. They're going to go live from Road America at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. The Votive IndyCar Series and the Dark Horse CW12 Series are both off on Sunday. That means that Monday we'll have the IndyCar Open Series Monday night top split, 8 o'clock from Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it's the old pavement, Caleb. It's the old pavement. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. That's going to be a fun time. That's going to be followed at 10 o'clock by the Indy Next Road Series Monday night top split from Silverstone. Tuesday, it's the IndyCar Oval Series top split from Michigan at 8:15. And at 9:30, it'll be followed by the Indy Next Oval Series Tuesday night top split from South Boston. The Horizon IndyCar Series Formula Indy Series are on their summer breaks, and that means 1 week from today we'll be right back here 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 on the race start from the short course at Sonoma for the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. We do want to thank all the drivers on the track, all the fans in the stands for making the broadcast what it is and making this so much fun to do. I got to thank my broadcast partner, Caleb Brashear. But I really want to make sure we shout out and thank the people that really make this possible. The military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs driving the ambulance, and Caleb, the nurse that unloads you when you get there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow night.